Here before, but never on opposite sides. A personal relationship eclipsed by a century of history. And now the student is home, looking to start his own legacy. Will the student become the master? If so, then it begins tonight. Yeah, you can call it bias, or what history calls it, dominance, supremacy, dynasty. Damn straight. It's volatile and uncertain, intense and unknown, difficult and ultimate. It's about how much it means, why it matters, when it counts, and from where it comes. You know what, man? Enough talk. It's game time.
College football mecca, Atlanta. Frigid tonight. Her streets eerily quiet. But inside the modern marvel of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it's overheated, raucous, and ready for the College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T. The Georgia Bulldogs, hungry to taste the school's first title in 37 seasons. The Alabama Crimson Tide driven to strengthen a decade-long dynasty with a fifth title in 9 years. And welcome, Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. We are so proud to bring you the championship game, year 4 of the playoff era. It's about to get crazy in here. This is going to be wild with Georgia just down the road here, Kirk. Georgia and Alabama separated largely by the Chattahoochee River, but like neighbors that don't visit each other that often, just 3 previous meetings in a decade. They're both from the SEC, and we know that's a flashpoint for quite a few of you, offsetting what was otherwise a down year for the conference. About half the programs in this league are in transition or turmoil, but you can't argue these two teams earned their way here.
Yeah, it's not really about necessarily looking at it as a conference. When you look at the bracket, it's about the 4 best teams. I think a lot of us agree they put the 4 best teams in. At the end of the day, Georgia's got to beat Oklahoma in double overtime, which they did. And obviously Alabama showed a different attitude, healthy, attacking the line of scrimmage, and they took care of Clemson. And so here we are, 2 teams that happen to be from the same conference in a year where the SEC collectively is down. But these 2 teams won in the playoff. They deserve to be here tonight.
Yeah, Saban wants that same angry energy tonight. All 4 championships he's won at Alabama have come with Kirby Smart on his staff. But now in year 2 at Georgia, Smart is trying to do what no former Saban assistant has done. Pull that sword out of the stone. Break the hold that Saban's had on his ex-assistants. McElwain and Dooley couldn't do it at SEC rivals.
Yeah, Dooley with his orange pants in Knoxville couldn't get it done. You look at the rest of these coaches, some of them defensive. Will Muschamp, Mark D'Antonio, Jimbo Fisher this year in this stadium with Florida State. Of course, he's now at Texas A&M. And there's Kirby saying, all right, I'm ready to take my shot right here.
He's been in the weight room, hasn't he?
He has, doing some squats, it looks like.
So both teams, it's no coincidence that Georgia is built like Bama. I mean, they've got a stout defense. They've got a powerful running game. 2 senior captains, best friends, roommates, combined 6 touchdowns in the Rose Bowl.
Well, Thunder and Lightning is what they're really referred to by their own fan base, and Thunder would be Nick Chubb. He is such a powerful runner, a veteran guy. We saw that on display in the Rose Bowl where you could see how many yards he had after contact. He had a great game. This is maybe a turning point in the game when he ran through those tackles, got into the end zone, and then Lightning. Sony Michel, who had a wonderful game in the Rose Bowl, got out in space. He can go the distance in a hurry. I don't know if he's going to clearly have the same opportunities against Alabama, but with the way Alabama plays defense, Michel will have to make some big plays, and they're going to have to try to get him out in space. Another huge factor tonight. All week you've heard about this is a line of scrimmage game. It's going to be an old school physical game. In my opinion, the quarterback play for both teams. Jake Fromm is a true freshman. Now, we've not seen a true freshman win the national championship since 1985, Jamel Holloway. He's got to be sharp tonight with his decisions and also very accurate against a great defense.
Fromm is a prodigy. He's a small-town Georgia kid from the central part of the state. He's tough to fool, but Saban will try his best to do that. Once again, the foundation of this team, he's going to try to win a 6th national championship, tie Paul Bryant, and what has been the constant, stout defense. despite a bunch of injuries, they're still #1 in the country in most of the categories.
Incredible what this team has done, considering the injuries. That very first game on this field against Florida State, they had a lot of guys knocked out. That team kind of carrying on throughout the year. But they placed people in there. They grew up. They matured. And I thought last week, it's the best they've looked all year. They're going to set their edge on the outside, force Georgia back to the interior, kind of the teeth of the defense, and that's the strength of this defense tonight, especially against Georgia. So you think the answer is, all right, Georgia, get the ball to the outside. That's what Clemson tried. Nope, too fast at the linebacker spot, as you'll see Mac Wilson tonight, Rashaan Evans running around, and this is a big part of the game. 3rd down for Jake Fromm. They'll give you a lot of different looks. In this case, they brought one more than Clemson could handle. You can see it affected Kelly Bryant all night long. And so you want to put Jake Fromm, if you're Georgia, in those 2nd and 7, 3rd and 4. It's called staying on schedule. You do not want to put him at 3rd and 9 all night. That's what happened at Jordan-Hare in the first matchup against Auburn, and it really cost him.
Calling defense is Jeremy Pruitt. He's the new head coach at Tennessee. But he's going to try to do what Smart did, was win a championship in his farewell at Alabama. Jalen Hurts came close to winning a championship his true freshman season. What's the challenge for him tonight?
Well, the challenge is taking care of the football. He's got to be able to continue to do what he's done all year. 1 interception all season. His offensive coordinator, Brian Dable's done a very good job of kind of calling the game, kind of complementary to the way the defense and the special teams typically give Bama an edge. That's what he did against Clemson. Tonight, I think his feet, his ability to scramble on third down, and definitely being part of the running game will be a big key for Hurts tonight.
Yeah, Dable comes from the Belichick, Tom Brady school. They are risk averse. That's why they only have 1 interception. Is that going to be good enough tonight? We'll see if we get going with the Dogs and the Crimson Tide. 2 neighboring states battling for that beautiful trophy here in Atlanta. Is it going to head about 3 hours to the west to Tuscaloosa, or an hour and change to the east and Athens, Georgia? The Nissan pregame rush from Atlanta is coming up next, just before kickoff. But first, a look inside Nissan's Heisman House.
On pregame rush, Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy and the College Football Playoff.
They first locked horns in 1895, the 68th meeting tonight in Atlanta between Alabama and Georgia. The Crimson Tide have won the last 3. They haven't lost to Georgia since Nick Saban's first year in Tuscaloosa. Get set for a raucous game unlike any we've seen in the championship here in college football. And now to the public address announcer tonight here in Atlanta, Mr. John Magrino.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, as we honor our nation, please rise and welcome members of the ROTC units from the University of Georgia and the University of Alabama, joined by our President, Donald J. Trump. Please remain standing and remove your hats as our nation's colors are presented by members of the United States Marines Bravo Company, 4th Reconnaissance Battalion, Smyrna, Georgia. Here to perform our national anthem, accompanied by the inspirational voices of David Walker and High Praise, please welcome multi-platinum Grammy-winning artists Zac Brown Band.
but so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets wrangling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Zach Brown and his band, Georgia natives and big fans of these guys. Bulldogs is the higher seed given the choice, and they're going to wear the home red. A wardrobe change from the SEC championship game and the Rose Bowl. There's the defensive leader, Roquan Smith.
Roquan Smith, Nick Chubb, both guys, a lot of these players on this Georgia team deciding to come back for their senior year to have an opportunity maybe to make a run like this right here.
Veteran team, couple dozen seniors on this roster. Saban and his teams, no matter how big the game, their entrance is usually business-like, something you see on Sundays. It wasn't that way in the Sugar Bowl.
They played with an edge that they're going to try to duplicate tonight, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Felt disrespected with being questioned whether or not they should be in the playoff or not. Not to mention Clemson beat them last year in the championship. They were really out on mission last week.
Saban used home field in the Superdome to win a championship game over Oklahoma. Overcame one when his Alabama team went and beat LSU, smothered them 2011. Atypical Alabama. It's Georgia that appears more businesslike. About to get real loud, folks. Buckle up. Renzo Carter, who made the big field goal block in double overtime to spring the Dogs past the Sooners. And there's Fromm. How can his pulse possibly be under control in this moment as a freshman? Here come the Tide. Alabama fans travel, and they consider Atlanta their home away from home. But our best estimate, it's about 70-30 Dogs fans in here tonight. An opportunity. It's been driven home by both of these coaches, their players all week. Should be a lot of fun. This has been the Nissan pregame rush. Time for the coin toss. And back to our PA announcer, John Magrino.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to midfield for the national championship game coin toss. with inductees of the 2018 National Football Foundation College Football Hall of Fame. Representing Murray State and Virginia Tech, head coach Frank Beamer. Representing Appalachian State, Tulane, North Carolina, and Texas, head coach Mac Brown. And representing the University of Georgia, offensive tackle Matt Stinchcomb. Tonight's referee from the Big Ten Conference, Dan Capron. Tonight's honorary captains for Alabama, O.J. Howard, and for Georgia, Herschel Walker, alongside team captains for Alabama and team captains for Georgia.
What's up, dog? Good luck, good luck, bro. Good. What's up, man? Congratulations, gentlemen, on making it to the national championship game. My name is Dan Capron. This is my umpire, Ed Feaster. We're here from the Big Ten Conference tonight. We're going to officiate your game for you. Alabama, you've been designated the visiting team, so you're going to have the privilege of calling the toss. We have a ceremonial coin here tonight. The head is in the shape of a football, the logo of the College Football Playoff. The tail has the logo of Mercedes-Benz Stadium in the year 2018. You got it? Head, tail. What's your call? Tails is called. It is a tail. Alabama, if you won the toss, what would you like to do? Alabama defers their choice to the second half. Georgia, you want the ball? Alabama, which way do you want to kick? We want to kick to our info. Want to kick this way? Please put your backs over here. Georgia has elected to receive to start the game. Gentlemen, up, shake hands. Good luck.
Great to have our championship team with us. Maria Taylor on the Georgia sideline, Tom Rinaldi on the Alabama side. Let's go to Tom with Nick Saban.
Chris, thank you very much. Coach, for all the times you've been in these big games, you say you never really know if your team is ready or how they'll play. What's the first indication, Nick?
Well, I think the most important thing is whatever the emotional level is, the players cannot get, the mental clutter cannot be a part of it. You got to have the discipline to execute and do your job, do it with a lot of intensity, and that's what got us here, and that's how we got to play today.
Good luck to you tonight, Nick.
All right, thank you.
Let's go to Maria.
Thanks, Tom. Coach, your team has made it to the biggest stage in college football. What was the final message you wanted to deliver before they took the field?
Play with passion and energy. Hunker down one more time, dogs. That's what we want them to do. We want them to go out there and lay it on the line.
You get the ball first. What's the key to a fast start on offense?
Get some first downs, get the ball moving, get some confidence.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Brett.
No different, is it? To be the boss back at your alma mater where you were an all-SEC defensive back as opposed to being on the staff of Nick Saban.
In just 2 years.
Cool all week, hasn't he?
Just 2 years.
He feels the energy has returned to his team after spending a lot of it in that double OT in Pasadena. We were impressed by the energy in practice. You see Jake Fromm and the Georgia offense go to work. J.K. Scott, the punter and kickoff man, on his 7th playoff game. Think about that. But booted away. Mecole Hardman is a dangerous return man. One time he thought he was going to go to Bama. Flipped to Georgia. You keep an eye on number 7, Trayvon Diggs, who set the tone in last week's opening kickoff. Big tackle, number 7. Line drive kick, just barely a touchback and not out of bounds. So here comes Jake Fromm, took over his first start at Notre Dame, and look how good he's been in the 2 postseason games, Kirk.
Yeah, incredible right here in this stadium against Auburn in the SEC championship, and you and I were there at the Rose Bowl, made so many good decisions, especially late in that game to give the Bulldogs a chance to win in double overtime. And now this is his final test of the season. Find out how he responds, because he'll be hit more tonight than probably any game that he's playing. I want to see how he responds to that.
Both of those senior captains in the game, Chubb and Michelle, flanking Fromm. Chubb in the flat, through the initial tackle, works hard just to lose 1 yard. Deontay Thompson, the safety, there in a hurry.
This Alabama defense plays with a lot of emotion, especially early in the game, to just try to set the tone and send a message. They play a 3-4. Deshaun Hand looked healthy last week. Deron Payne is very, very physical in the middle, and Isaiah Buggs was quick as well. And the 4 linebackers, watch Rashaan Evans, 32, and Mack Wilson in the middle. Chris mentioned Jennings is out, meaning Terrell Lewis and Christian Miller will need to step up.
2nd and 11. Fromm from the pocket delivers a long throw near sideline, and Terry Godwin, the junior from here in Georgia, makes the catch in front of Minkah Fitzpatrick, number 29.
All we talked about all week was this is a line of scrimmage game. They're going to run the football. Who's going to be more physical? Georgia knows they can't play in a phone booth. They've got to spread this dominant defense out of Alabama's and try to get them out in space with their skill.
How crucial will these 3rd down plays be tonight? Dogs need 6. From straight back, pressure up the middle. Hit as he throws. A downfield shot. And coming back. Wims a battle, but it's picked off as Tony Brown went up and just took it away from the receiver.
Ball is underthrown, but still looked like Wims might make a catch. He's in the slot on the inside. Look at that. Brown goes down. He's beaten. Ball is underthrown. Brown, give him credit. He never gave up on it. The experience, you can see he finds the football and then he fights for it and rips it away from Wims. The reason Fromm didn't get a lot on that ball, Chris, 3rd down, a lot of pressure. As he threw it, he got hit. So it's easy to say he's young quarterback in this kind of game. Why didn't he lead him? But he got pressure, so the pressure helps lead to an underthrown ball and eventually an interception.
Tony Brown, a senior from Texas, up and down career. It's his first pick of the season. So Jalen Hurts and the Tide take over after the takeaway at their 36. Damian Harris motions out. And now comes back. And they hand it to him. And the Tide's top running back trying to get the edge. He's going to be strung out and knocked out of bounds there. The corner, Aaron Davis.
Well, Jalen Hurts is a true sophomore, 25-2. This looked like the game-winning play potentially before Deshaun Watson led the Tigers down and eventually raised that trophy up. But Hurts has had moments as a quarterback. The best thing you can say about him, he's mobile, has a strong arm, and he's a winner.
And the handoff, Robert Foster ends around, slips a tackle, gets the edge, and the Tides move the chains here. We saw that iPhone wallpaper for a year after losing that heartbreaker to Clemson. Jalen Hurts kept that reminder on his phone. He changed it, though. He changed it up after they beat the Tigers in the revenge game.
After all those weeks, he and the team finally got revenge. Much like Georgia, trying to get the ball to the perimeter, to the outside. That time they were able to outflank the Georgia defense.
Hurts still got it, flips it short. Calvin Ridley, the Tide's best receiver, was open and dances out of bounds near the marker before Malcolm Parrish forced him out.
Well, we showed you what Alabama does defensively, and the same can be said for Georgia. Kirby Smart brought that system over from Tuscaloosa, played that same 3-4. Watch Tyler Clark, number 52, great player, along with Ledbetter on the edges. These are the guys that have to play well. Bellamy and Carter on the outside, being able to contain this speed and also the physicality in the inside from Carter and Roquan Smith, the leader of the defense.
Hurts, a design run. This is what he does best. Muscles into the secondary, and the Tide set up at the Dogs 31.
It's just a quarterback power play, like an inside zone where you just want to let your quarterback be able to read, eventually find a crease and cut back. Watch how this offensive line pushes, and there's the cutback crease. He has instincts of a tailback, and he's 6'2", 225 pounds. He's a man when he pulls the ball down to run.
Dogs defense on its heels, and Brian Dable using some tactical tempo here, a play action. And Hurts pressured and just flips it downfield. Not that far out of bounds. In the neighborhood there was Dominic Sanders, the safety.
And that's where Hurts is going to have to be careful tonight. He's done a very good job all year throwing the ball away. But if you take his primary read away, he becomes uncomfortable. And Georgia wants to keep him in that pocket. Make Jalen Hurts, when he throws the ball, complete passes from the pocket, not allowing him to get outside.
Primary read is usually Calvin Ridley, number 3.
Yeah.
This is Harris. Bounces of it, cut down. There's a strong tackle by Sanders. His 53rd start as a college football player.
Well, the safeties from Georgia, J.R. Reed, number 20, and in this case, Dominic Sanders, who's played a ton of football, as you said, Chris. They've got to be on early downs up near the line of scrimmage. They've got to beg Jalen Hurts, who's capable of running. You got to beg him to throw the ball to beat you tonight.
Tide's turn to stare down a 3rd and long. They need 8. Dog showing some pressure up the middle.
Jalen sensing that. Remember, they're as familiar with this defensive scheme as they are their own. Straight back. Escapes. Makes a cut.
And Jalen Hurts again. First down in the red zone.
Well, they showed pressure, and then both the linebackers in the middle drop out. They're just playing zone, but this is what you can't allow. Georgia knows this. 3rd down, their best play for Alabama is this. The creativity, the scrambling ability, and I'm surprised they didn't spy him there. They played zone, linebackers' eyes were on him, but they're unable to bring him down before the first down.
Yeah, got 10 on 3rd and 8. Harris and Jacobs now flanking Hurts. And this is a handoff to Josh Jacobs, the Tulsa, Oklahoma back who overcame some early season injuries. Roquan Smith, it was 3-on-3 there, and the linebacker got him.
He's got great speed on the perimeter. Probably his greatest strength is running down ball carriers when they bounce to the outside. It looked like Jacobs, who's pretty quick himself, had a chance to get to the corner, but inside out, Roquan Smith is able to chase him down.
Pick the center. Brad Bozeman has pumped up 3 times. He's given Hurts a high snap already.
Ridley alone up top. Real difference maker in the passing game for Alabama.
Parrish is on him. Hurts looking that way. Kirk throws it for the end zone, but over the head of Ridley. And Parrish had fallen down. That's on Hurts.
He had him. He had him, and they're going to go back to that. Ridley's one of the top receivers in the entire country. And they have him matched up on exactly who they want. And Parrish, 14. He falls. He's undersized, by the way, at 5'10". And Nick knows that they missed on an opportunity there. Even if he doesn't fall, Ridley's going by Parrish for a chance to have a touchdown.
3rd and 8 again.
Do they spy him here after the scramble?
Well, they're going to put him on the move. Hurts retreats, chased, flips it, incomplete. A changeup, and that was the speedy, and I mean speedy, linebacker Lorenzo Carter giving chase.
That is his job, to get to the outside. Has such great length. 6'6", 245 pounds, and has tremendous speed to be able to chase down Jalen Hurts and force him to just throw that ball away.
Carter at 6'6", the man who got the long arm up there to block the field goal in double OT. Andy Pappanastos, grew up an Alabama fan. Played at Ole Miss, and now back here for his senior season. Very reliable from short distance. This from 35. Is a false start, a flag before the snap, which again was high. And Scott, who kicks off, punts, and holds, did a good job to get it down. He'll have to try again from 40.
False start. Offense. Number 82. A penalty. It remains 4th down.
Herb Smith, the tight end. Noise a serious factor in this Alabama offense at the moment.
And also, you can see 18 at the top of the screen there. He just kind of gave a little bit of a move, Baker, and that affected Smith with that crowd noise. He thought Baker was coming and just moved a little bit.
He had a redo in the Sugar Bowl after a flag, and Pappanastos missed that field goal against Clemson. But he rarely misses from this range. The timing was off, and that was ugly from the start. I know what you're saying, announcer's curse, but that just was not well executed at all. Either of those attempts, the false start and then the snap.
He did not look comfortable. He was out of rhythm from the start. I don't know if it's just the jitters, the hype of this big of a game, and Kirby Smart and the Georgia defense catch a break and get a little bit of momentum here early in this game.
Tide moving 42 yards, but come up empty.
At AT&T, buy one iPhone.
Tonight's Planning for Success brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Alabama complimentary football over the play calling. See how the defense and special teams are going. Play with the same edge they played with against Clemson defensively. Georgia got to stay on schedule. Avoid those 3rd and 9 situations, 3rd and long. And then can they match the physicality at the line of scrimmage that Bama typically plays with, especially with this group right here, this offensive line?
They have their hands 3rd long in their first series. 3 passes, no runs in the first series for Georgia. Nick Chubb, here's the tailback. Fromm fakes it to him, fires a slant. Godwin has got it, and he's got a first down across the 35. Fromm throws that route really well.
Now they're trying to spread this Alabama defense out. Watch the linebackers coming up, anticipating Nick Chubb in the running game. Tendencies say it's a Georgia running game, and Georgia knows that. Trying to break some tendencies here early in the game. Good throw in rhythm, and gave his receiver a chance to make a play.
Godwin gained 14 yards. 4 plays, 4 passes called by Jim Chaney so far. DeAndre Swift is in the game, and he's out of the backfield, but looking downfield, and again, that's dropped by Javon Wims for the 2nd time, so the top receiver is struggling a bit. Maria?
Well, Chris, after Jake Fromm threw that first interception, he came back over to his team and said, "We're good." Went up to Javon Wims, said, "I'm still going to be looking for you." He tells me he has a shooter's mentality, so even if he misses or makes a mistake, he's always going to go back, knowing he can make the next play.
Perhaps Wims had something on his mind in that drop, Kirk.
Yeah, he had Swift behind him. You don't know if they're already trying something, a little trickery, like a hook and lateral. But I love to see Fromm throwing on 1st and 10, much like the Rose Bowl where he was 9 of 10 on 1st and 10.
And a whistle, and the flag before the snap.
Yeah, when the left tackle moved.
Win, one of only 2 All-SEC first-teamers on Georgia.
False start. Offense. Number 77. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Yeah, the captain sets him back. Those are drive killers, those kinds of penalties tonight.
Especially tonight. We keep talking about staying on schedule and avoiding 2nd and 3rd and long. Isaiah Wynn just trying to get a little bit of a head start. Flinched just a bit. Officials caught it. Going back to Fromm in rhythm, throwing the football on 1st and 10. Boy, even the drop there, the ball is thrown right on the money, and they're throwing on their terms on 1st and 10 instead of waiting till 3rd down.
Pressured immediately, and that blew up the play. Storming in there was Deron Payne. Fromm couldn't get it to Michelle.
This was Georgia's biggest concern, is the middle of the Georgia offensive line against Payne, who's right here. Watch his movement and quickness. The center, Gilliard, trying to get out there. But I'll tell you, Payne at 6'2", 308 pounds is quick. And it gives inside linemen, guards, and centers a lot to deal with, not just with his power, but with how quick he can shoot through a gap.
He gave the highlight of the Sugar Bowl. He had a pick, and then had a touchdown reception right after it. 3rd and 15. Tide rush 4. Fromm has time. Nice throw downfield, and the traffic ball tipped in the air and incomplete again. He was looking for Wims, and Deontay Thompson got a hand. Becomes the punt team.
And Thompson had stepped in very nicely for Hootie Jones and done a good job. He's got tremendous length at 6'2", 195 pounds, and he sits back there as a safety on the hash. Makes it pretty easy for him. This is what Bama does on 3rd and long. They've played man coverage with 2 safeties back on the hashes, making it incredibly tough to try to throw the ball downfield. Fromm tried to squeeze it in, but good coverage that time by Thompson.
Cameron Nisluk has an econ degree from Columbia, a graduate transfer, and an excellent season punting the ball. Gets it away, goes down. There is no flag, and a fair catch by Trayvon Diggs, so it was a good boot, but the Tide got close there. Damian Harris, the running back, storming in there. Tide back to work, scoreless, 49-yard punt. Championship after the 1980s season. Benjamin Franklin Buckbaloo. Kirk, he completed 1 pass the entire game for 7 yards. It was all about Herschel Walker.
Oh, yeah. And that 150. And that defense.
And the special teams were great, too.
Yeah.
It's Georgia's most recent national championship.
Well, we saw Alabama do a good job of showing a lot of different looks, different formations and personnel groupings, trying to make Georgia rather have to adjust and communicate to all these different looks.
It was pretty simple the first series. Hurts rushed a couple of times for 22 yards. Scarborough in the game, and Big Bo just barrels up the middle. It's a game of 3 and 4 yards. Both offensive coaches says we can live with that.
I think even more so for Alabama. And I think Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, you mentioned the New England Patriots background. He was there last number of years with Bill Belichick as a tight end coach, and he looks at it in a way where he wants to call plays where his quarterback is not going to be in a position to make a mistake. They'd rather punt the ball than obviously turn the ball over. That's the way he calls the game.
Scarborough in motion. It's a backwards pass. Running back's got it. Makes a cut. And the Dogs knock him down. Once he gets rolling, he is tough to tackle. Got the most sudden back. Now some pushing and shoving after the play. It'll be third down.
Yeah, the emotions eventually are going to kind of settle in, and it's going to be about execution. That's what Nick Saban always kind of guards against, is there's so much buildup and hype on the outside. He doesn't want his players to get caught up in that. It's more about the execution of the actual game. Jalen Hurts' legs always an issue here at this situation at 3rd and 3.
Empty backfield. Hurts is keeping a straightforward call, but it goes backwards as the Dogs swarm. Jonathan Ledbetter off the edge. It's 4th down.
Well, Ledbetter came from the outside, but we showed you Tyler Clark with our graphic early. Watch him also be able to get through, and Ledbetter chases it from behind. But they win the battle at the line of scrimmage. There's Clark kind of blow the play up. Is Pierce Baker, the left guard, comes around, 71 comes around, and boom, he runs right in to Clark right there, and it allows the quickness of Ledbetter to come in from behind to bring Jalen Hurts down. Scouting report says quarterback run, Georgia ready for it.
Scott kicks him far and usually very high. Very few of his punts have been returned. Hardman comes up, lets it bounce, and it takes a good roll for the Crimson Tide all the way down to the 21-yard line. So Georgia's defense forces a 3 and out and gives Jake Fromm the football back. Dogs' second possession coming up. But this feels really chilly. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. When Mother Nature blitzes, you'll need the very best traction on and off the field. You'll need weather-ready Goodyear, more driven. He's like a 3 technique. Low dog wins, right? Did they coach it? 62 pounds, 4-year-old, Ugga 10.
I love it. Got the uni on, looking good. Look at this. First 7 plays tonight. Put the ball in the hands of Jake Fromm. You're talking about an offense that's 70% run on the season, and so far 7 pass plays and no runs.
Yeah, you got 2,000-yard backs. Haven't touched it in the run game yet. This time it is Nick Chubb, and he's got a little crease, and he shows you that thunder, that strength, and that's a win against Bama's front.
Oh, yeah. They got a good push in the middle. He got up to the 2nd level and was able to pick up some yards. It's a smart, I think, approach by Jim Chaney, who is a great offensive coordinator, been around for a long time, and he's smart enough to realize, listen, we can't line up in just our traditional 2 tight end formation, let Bama be in a big defensive look and try to run into them. I think it was smart to open it up early and give Alabama some different looks.
Unbalanced line here. Chubb is the back. They pitch it to him running to the boundary. Makes a cut, but boy, the Tide close it down quickly. That's Terrell Lewis, who's got big shoes to fill. He's in for the injured Jennings tonight.
Well, he does a good job right here of coming down and then getting to the outside. They're running right to Minkah Fitzpatrick. They know he's a great defender against the pass, but they try to go against him defending the run. He contains it, forces Chubb back inside, and there's the big man, Terrell Lewis, cleaning it up. Nice play.
Dogs 0 for 2 on 3rd down. Need 5 this time.
Watch how Alabama gives this offensive line a lot of looks. They disguise their pressure with their linebackers and Minkah Fitzpatrick.
It's a run on 3rd and 5, and Sony Michel gets the 1st down before Mac Wilson could wrestle him down. Good call.
Sony Michel says, hey, what about me? I got a little thunder to me. I'm not just lightning. He lowers his shoulder here. Left tackle win, helps on the double team, and he runs right through Mac Wilson with that extra effort right there to get across the 1st down marker. Great effort by Michel.
He's 215. He's the guy that had 3 touchdowns, then fumbled Oklahoma with the scoop and score to take the lead, redeemed himself with that wild dog touchdown in double OT. Hesitation, Michel again. And he is not going to get the edge, but a positive first down gain again.
I think he fits in better on how you want to try to go after Alabama because he's so sudden. They're going to mix Chubb and Michelle back and forth. But I think because the room to work as a back against this defense is so tight that you need that extra gear to pick up and accelerate upfield to get an extra 2, 3, and 4 yards.
What a brother act in this game, Kirk. And number 8, Riley Ridley, Calvin's younger brother, is to the right of the formation for the Dogs.
Going back to that 4 wide receiver look.
Chubb right into traffic. Very often that's just not open for business against the Tide.
This defensive line collectively, I think, had their best game of the year because they're healthy. They're playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're flying around. All of them. Hand played well. Isaiah Buggs, Deron Payne, Raekwon Davis when he came in. If you throw in Anthony Jennings, who had maybe the best game of them all, they were dominant at the line of scrimmage, and that's why I think Georgia understands why they have to try to spread that dominant linebacking group out.
It had to be great with the linebackers banged up all year long.
Yep.
3rd and 3. It's Michelle. And now a whistle and a flag down. This Big Ten crew led by Dan Capron conferring. Michelle says it's on Bama.
The defensive player jumped into the neutral zone, causing the offensive player to react. By rule, that's defense offside, a 5-yard penalty, and it results in a first down.
Tony Brown jumps at Terry Godwin right there, makes him flinch.
Dave Kataya, our rules expert in the booth, that's an emphasis. That happens a whole lot in a loud building, doesn't it, Dave?
Absolutely. And when the defense enters the neutral zone and there's immediate reaction, it's on the defense. If they don't enter in the neutral zone, it goes on the offense.
Okay.
So the Dogs get a first down on that 5-yarder.
Well, they've got Lewis way up here on the outside. Big body walked out.
Michelle makes a cut but cannot escape Deron Payne, the big 300-pounder again, showing the quickness.
I'm telling you, this is a mismatch up front. This is a mismatch in the pit. 94, look at the push. He's already in the backfield. And he's kind of been in the background with Jonathan Allen and Dalvin Tomlinson and Ryan Anderson and so many great players. It's his turn this year, and he's taken advantage of it.
We saw the hands and the feet and the touchdown. There you see the raw strength. He grabbed a big physical back with one arm and threw him down.
He's got man coverage. Sliding it, the protection to the right.
From the pocket, delivers a high throw. It's caught. Finally, that's Javon Wims after a couple of drops. Makes the catch. Or check it, that's Riley Ridley.
Bama's right side does a good job of coming in and getting pressure. Fromm just kind of slings this ball and gets the ball out quickly.
They're playing quickly. A downfield throw. It's one of those back shoulder fades that Fromm likes so much. Wims couldn't come up with it. It was just the 9th catch for Calvin Ridley's little brother this season.
They go hurry up to try to prevent Nick Saban from being able to change his personnel. Remember, in college football, if you don't change offensively your personnel, you decide to go fast, the defense, they can't change their personnel. And they can try, and they can get maybe called for a penalty with too many men on the field. Georgia's going to try to do that all night because Alabama constantly likes to change their personnel.
Well, the Dogs sub, so the Tide had some time to get fresh bodies. And Fromm is chased and sacked by Anthony Averett off the corner. Not often confused, Kirkley was that time.
And this one surprised him. It's a little bit of a different look. You're used to seeing Fitzpatrick here coming, and you wonder if one of the tight ends might have needed to kind of recognize that and get back and help him on his backside. Somebody messed up, really unexpecting the blitz from Everett, and they create another long 3rd down situation for Georgia.
It was a promising drive. Now they're back in their own end, facing 3rd and 20. Got to hurry. Just get it off. And it's a 3rd and long run. Can Michelle create some magic? He gets the edge and tightropes into Alabama territory. Sony Michel, Rose Bowl hero, makes the first big offensive play tonight.
We just talked about what he can do and how quickly he can get to the outside. Watch the block he picks up right there. Just enough of a block to be able to affect Levi Wallace. It was by Riley Ridley. Picks up just enough of Wallace to give him the room to get to the corner and eventually pick up that first down.
The ruling on the field is that the runner stepped out of bounds at the 26-yard line. That ruling is under further review.
So Tom Kissinger, the replay official of this Big Ten crew, will take a look. What are the odds of a 26-yard run on 3rd and 20? Great body control. He slammed on the brakes there.
Yeah, he really did. He's in bounds the whole way. Good look at it right there.
So the Dogs are threatening. That run is going to stand. We'll take a timeout. Michelle's superb run stands. Number one was like a Formula One car. He accelerated, slammed on the brakes, cornered, and then accelerated again. And they convert.
Really impressive. Got to mention a great block there by Ridley. Ronnie Harrison took a really poor angle on a 3rd and 20 play.
Michelle has twice, Kirk, converted 3rd downs with runs. 3rd and medium and 3rd and very long. DeAndre Swift, the freshman, is now the tailback. Excellent receiver. They fake it to him. Swift in the middle. Fromm was looking that way and now tries to escape. And he'll be tracked down. Christian Miller, the linebacker, got him a few yards behind the line.
He had Nada quickly right off of the play fake. But as Nada continued downfield, he was covered by Ronnie Harrison, the safety. And Fromm actually looking off to his left when he dropped back there. Pretty good defense. Nothing he could do if he wasn't ready for the quick throw to Nada. No one else open.
They don't use the tight ends too often, and Charlie Werner, who made an impact early in the Rose Bowl, out of this game with a lower leg injury, so it's got to be Nada. Michelle, that time, stuffed right at the line. Swift, excuse me.
That time, that defensive line again. It is a mismatch up front, especially in the interior with Payne and Isaiah Buggs, and Raekwon Davis sets up another 3rd down.
Scoreless first quarter, 64 yards for the Dogs, 53 yards for the Crimson Tide. Expected defense tonight, we're getting it so far. End of one in Atlanta. Back after these messages. You're watching the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T on ESPN. Start of the second quarter here. College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T. Dogs on the move. 13th play of this drive coming up, Kirk, and it's going to be 3rd and 11.
Alabama gets their dime package in, meaning 6 defensive backs. We saw Georgia run the ball in that 3rd and 20. They get 3 receivers down here at the bottom along with a tight end.
And it's Michelle to Fromm's right. They pick up the pressure. Another 3rd down run. Didn't want to risk perhaps taking a sack and moving the field goal attempt back. Michelle tackled at the 24 by Terrell Lewis.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I mean, you take a risk with as much as Alabama pressures on 3rd down. You drop the quarterback back there. You potentially get out of field goal range. This way you run the ball. It's a safe call, and you try to get the first 3 points of the game.
Here's my guy, Kirk. Rodrigo Hot Rod Blankenship, the sophomore from Marietta, booted a career-long 55-yarder in the Rose Bowl. Key play after a squib kick just before half. This from 41. And Blankenship does what Papanastos could not. Puts Georgia on top. Man given a scholarship before he kicked the game winner at Notre Dame. Puts Georgia in front by 3. College Football Playoff National Championship trophy. I used to love the old crystal ball, but this has really grown on me. It's a nice gleaming gold thing that's in huge images on the buildings
everywhere. Yeah.
Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor, and Tom Rinaldi back as the Dogs get a Blankenship field goal and draw first blood. Panastos had earlier missed his attempt for the Crimson Tide. Josh Jacobs, Trayvon Diggs are the return men for the Tide in the end zone. And Blankenship has really improved his kickoff range this year. Just boots it deep. It'll be a touchback. Sam Rinaldi.
Chris, Minka Fitzpatrick, the captain and defensive standout who prides himself on leading through example, not always the most vocal leader. Interesting, he came right over after that last series, came right up to Jalen Hurts and spoke to him for 30 seconds, imploring him, hey, let's get going, now's your time. Punched him in the chest, not something you often see with Minka Fitzpatrick. Also, keep an eye when the Tide's on defense, guys. Fitzpatrick wearing a flak jacket that you'd normally see on a quarterback to take care of that kidney injury, protect it when he's on the field. We'll see how Jalen responds, Chris.
And we'll talk about what Minka's been putting up with. That is uncharacteristic for Fitzpatrick, but when he talks, they listen. Harris, a first down carry. What do you make of that? Minka taking an active role early on.
Yeah, I think it's his leadership. You know, it's not necessarily that he's jumping up and down emotionally. I think he's still very calm and cool and collected the way he's been his whole career. But I think he senses urgency and how important it is for Jalen Hurts and the offense to step up. David Marshall is down.
Sophomore defensive end, part of that Dogs rotation in the 3-4. Georgia's been remarkably injury-free. Their quarterback, Eason, was hurt, but they've had no starters go down to injury other than that this season. Chips, Houndstooth. There are a bunch of coaches between Bryant and Saban. Only Gene Stallings really had sustained success, won a championship. Saban, by the way, never met Paul Bryant. A man he could equal tonight with his 6th championship, but he loved Coach Stallings, that's for sure.
He is on a run here in these 10 years in Tuscaloosa.
David Marshall in that 10 looked like he had his ankle rolled up on.
Damian Harris flanked off to the right of Hurts.
He comes in motion. Hurts running all the way. Sidesteps a couple of tacklers. Works hard to get a couple yards before DeAndre Walker brought him down.
They're doing a good job of really, as we said at the beginning of the telecast, loading up against quarterback run. The +1 quarterback run game is a big factor when you face Hurts. Georgia knows that. They're up against him and Harris from running, willing to leave their corners on islands.
Last 2 rushes, no gain for Hurts. 3rd and 6 from the pocket. Hit as he throws, and it's underthrown, but Ridley is not going to be able to come up and get it. Hurts picks himself up off the rug. The pressure caused that incompletion by Ledbetter.
Well, Ledbetter's been seen a couple times. Just a punch here to get around Jonah Williams. The left side of the offensive line. He beats the Bama's best offensive lineman. And Calvin Ridley beat Malcolm Parrish again. And that's why he was so frustrated. He wants the ball in his hands. He wants to make a play.
Targeted 3 times. The 1 catch for 9 yards so far for their top receiver. Scott. It's that long leg swinging. That's just a thing of beauty watching him punt the football. Hardman backtracks. Going to have a chance for the 15. Mecole Hardman. He's got speed. He's also got great moves. We've got 2 flags on the field on the return, though. Pretty clear block in the back. He spotted there.
It looked like Christian Payne, the fullback.
Mecole Hardman, he's been close. He hasn't quite busted one all the way to the end zone this year. Handles both the punts and the kickoffs.
I think it's safe to say it was Christian Payne after that reaction from Kirby. Nobody's returned punts this year against Scott. Nobody.
That would have been the most successful one.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 47 on the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Mental mistakes like that right out in the open. It cost Georgia some good field position.
What Georgia did a good job of is taking the gunners away downfield. They just took them, they slowed them down, and that's what allowed Hardman to have some room to work. There's the block by Payne right there into the back after that nice return by Hardman.
Very obvious. We'll take a break. Bulldogs will go back to work from their 20. Taco Bell has brought the best of the regular season to the college football playoff by creating the Liv Moss student section. Pick it up the tab for tickets at tonight's game for 500 students from each school, giving the biggest games back to the biggest fans.
You know, in a game where field position is so critical, Georgia had a chance to start this drive at their own 34 with that return, and instead with that penalty, they go back to their own 20. negates 14 yards of field position.
Huddled quickly, flipped in the flat. Swift makes a cut. And the talented back from Philly, the freshman, a big gain out across the 35. He beat Mac Wilson on that play.
Boy, he is dangerous, and Georgia's theme continues. Get the ball on the perimeter. Get the ball to their playmakers outside, whether it's Michelle, Swift, the true freshman. Get them in space and let them make some of the Bama defenders miss. That's so far in this first half where Georgia's having their success.
Swift, a very natural receiver, like all the Georgia backs, his 16th catch this season. And now it's the wild dog, Chubb, with a direct snap. It's worked for a touchdown against Oklahoma, and it's a productive first down play of about 5.
Jim Chaney is right now doing a very good job understanding that he's outmanned up front, especially in the middle of his offensive line against his Bama defense, giving a lot of different looks, getting the ball out of Fromm's hands quickly, getting the ball to the perimeter. Then you can go back to your bread and butter, running the football, but not living inside a phone booth against his Bama defense.
On 2nd and 5, Eason pulls it, makes a little cut, shows some elusiveness, and the quarterback has a first down at the 45. What did Chaney tell us, Kirk? I want to call plays against Bama that work against our defense when we go ones versus ones.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a heck of a move, by the way, by Jake Fromm. I mean, that's why he is such a great complement to this running game. Not only with some of the decisions that he makes, making the checks at the line of scrimmage, gets the ball out, makes good decisions with poise for a young player, but also he's nimble enough to make players miss. Here's another quick huddle.
Drops back, flips it incomplete. That was Payne who just had the penalty, but from an inaccurate throw. You feel he's got to run more tonight?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big part of it. You know, they typically sprinkle it in here and there. They did that in the Rose Bowl against Oklahoma. But boy, keep in mind, this guy was in high school last year. He's getting ready for the prom last year. And here he is on this stage in the national championship. And right now, it looks like he's been here his whole life.
Yeah, it does. He did the same thing in Houston County as a freshman. Came in and just ran the show.
Yeah, no big deal. Played in the Little League World Series, played shortstop, hit home runs, just what he does.
On 2nd and 10, it's Michelle who picks his way, earns a yard, but now it's going to be another 3rd and long coming up.
You know, we kind of went past that, but the drop there by Payne, this offense that started at their own 20, they came out with that quick huddle, boom, big play to Swift. Nice run by Fromm. They were the aggressor. They were attacking Bama. Bama kind of hands on their hips, looking over at Coach Saban and Jeremy Pruitt, losing some of their aggressive nature, and then Payne drops the ball on 1st and 10. Now they're looking at a 3rd and long. Really hurt the momentum that they had created on this drive, and see if Fromm can bail them out on 3rd and long.
Top receiver Chris Wims, number 6 to the left, hasn't caught a pass yet. Fromm took a look downfield, now checks it down, it's complete, and it's Riley Ridley, little brother, making a big impact before Calvin does. Dogs are set up.
Well, nice job of protecting the quarterback. And look at the middle. Look at this nice passing lane open up the middle of the defense. Mac Wilson and Minka Fitzpatrick, who is down as a defensive back playing that dime linebacker. They're reading the quarterback's eyes, playing zone. He did a good job of looking him off, opening up the middle for Ridley.
They fake the end around, and now Fromm flips it, lofted in the air. It's Mecole Hardman, the receiver. You know, Calvin Ridley said something interesting. No communication with his little brother during the game of the week. That shows you how businesslike the Tide receiver is. Riley's given name is Calvin. It's too close to Calvin, right? Wanted to be his own man, so that's why he's changed it to Riley. You got 2 younger brothers too.
You got the brothers, and then you have so many connections with the coaching staffs, knowing the players. I mean, it really is an interesting matchup between these 2 teams.
You would not have thought that Riley would make an impact play before Calvin did in this game. That's an upset. Fromm again making one of those changes, does this so well. Got to hurry though. Swift powers short game before Fitzpatrick wrestled him down. You like those changes from one play to one play that the coaches just praise Fromm for.
Well, and again, I think in college football today, how often do you see quarterbacks looking over to the cards to get not just the play call, but a lot of times the audible or the adjustment. Once the coaches see the defensive alignment, quarterbacks a lot of times are looking over. Not with Jake Fromm. His prep work allows him to make checks, get out of a bad run play into a good run play. Not just run to pass, run to run. Comes to blitz late.
Dogs need 6. They're in field goal range. From downfield, there is Wims going up and making his first catch. He beat Averett. That is his favorite route, quarterback and receiver.
And the back shoulder fade over the years. We've seen this hurt Alabama. Everett never able to see the football. Let's take a close look at this with Wims. Comes down with his hand and his right foot in bounds. Great call by the officials. Hand counts, but he also had the foot down. And a nice back shoulder fade by Fromm and a good adjustment by Wims.
Yeah, great body control by the 6'4" former hoops player from Miami. Wims had 6 catches and a touchdown at the Rose Bowl.
The ruling on the field is that the pass was complete. That ruling is under further review.
We'll take a break. They want to be sure, but this looks pretty clear that a hand and a foot got down before Wims landed out of bounds.
And the hand gets down and also the foot before that left foot touches. He's in for sure.
Davis coming up on the Mercedes-Benz halftime report. Desmond Howard and David Pollack will join me. We'll talk second half adjustments. And then the first ever halftime performance featuring Kendrick Lamar. And after that, we'll give you a very special look at Marvel Studios' Black Panther featuring all new music from Kendrick Lamar. That's all coming up on the Mercedes-Benz halftime report, Chris.
Reese, thank you. Wims catch is confirmed. 1st and goal for the Dogs. It's a challenge back at the 10-yard line. Chubb, nothing. Spun down by Payne.
We're halfway through this second quarter, and this game's starting to play out the way we thought. Field position being big. When you get opportunities like Georgia has right now, you better capitalize. Kirby Smart, you just don't know how many opportunities you're going to get. A touchdown for Georgia is big, and for Bama's defense, a stop. The margin of error throughout this game is going to be so slight. So what happens in the red zone for both teams? Very significant to the outcome of the game.
Yeah, not many bigger challenges than facing Bama. 1st and goal from back at the 10. Fake it to Michelle. Fromm throws a slant, inaccurate. It was Wims cutting in and covered by Wallace. 3rd and goal.
And Wallace with good coverage. Does a nice job of taking the inside leverage away from the bigger receiver in Wims, anticipating that inside throw. Now it's a big play for both, like just talked about.
Fromm has 2 third down completions on this drive, Kirk. Got Ridley for 23 and a 3rd and 8. Bad Wims on that 3rd and 6. A little tougher down here, though, isn't it?
Empty set. Now they're going to move Swift back there, or actually Michelle back in there.
Fromm flushed, backpedals, and delivers a dangerous throw over the middle. He was knocked down. Michelle frustrated. That was behind him, but read at the pressure by Payne and company.
Lewis is coming in. He's throwing it off his back foot. And the reason Michelle's frustrated is he knew that he was able to slip out of the backfield unnoticed. And if Fromm had just a little bit more time, he's able to get that ball to Sonny Michel, and Michel walks into the end zone for a touchdown. Give Terrell Lewis credit for getting in there and forcing Fromm to get rid of that ball.
Blankenship again from 27. Georgia had that 1st and goal. 3 plays, netted nothing. And Blankenship remains perfect on the season inside of 40 yards. Another look, Kirk.
Let's go back and look at Terrell Lewis, who's missed most of this year but is now healthy. He's inside. He pushes to get the pressure. Michel's here. He sneaks out. Nobody sees him. He's able to get out of there clean. Watch the pressure to the inside. Fromm's going to start backpedaling. Just can't get enough on the ball. If he's able to lead Sonny Michel, there's no question he's able to get into the end zone. Nobody picks him up, but there's the pressure by Lewis. And by the way, Tony Brown almost with that ball thrown behind him, able to come up with an interception. But a big stop by Bama to force the field goal.
Conversation between quarterback and running back. They were very lucky to avoid a pick right there and give Blankenship a chance to extend the lead. Tied, though. Just 57 yards total offense. Coming off the season low against Clemson. It was smothering defense and barely adequate offense. Great field position, short field for the offense. They haven't showed up yet tonight.
No, not yet. And it's, again, Brian Dable usually calls the plays depending on the field position, the flow of the game. Be interesting. The last 8 plays for Bama, 10 yards they've totaled. And Jalen Hurts 0 for 3, and they've had 2 3-and-outs.
Josh Jacobs he's just standing deep in the end zone. He figures Blankenship's not going to give much of a chance, and he'll leave it right there. Let's take a look at tonight's All-State, all-hands in play. It's been all hands on deck so far for the Dogs D.
Let's start with the Georgia's speed. Raekwon Smith doing a good job getting to the perimeter, taking away any ability to be able to outflank them. We talked about the importance of physicality. Georgia matching that physicality and then trying to get Hurts into third down and trying to get pressure to make him throw that ball away. They have had a great start to this game. See if now Bama decides to maybe open it up a little and try to get Jalen Hurts running and throwing.
They haven't gotten Harris or Scarborough going. This is a run, and Hurts makes a cut. Jalen Hurts in the clear, in the Dogs' territory. When you're struggling, just kind of keep it simple.
Well, the motion right here affects Smith. See how Smith clears out? And then it allows the center to get up to Raekwon Smith, one of the best players in the country. And then that's just Jalen Hurts being Jalen Hurts. So the motion pre-snap by Josh Jacobs gets the linebacker just out of that area.
After a 31-yard game by the quarterback, Jacobs carries the ball for a short gain.
That front, we keep talking about the Alabama front. This Georgia front against the running game, doing a good job of getting off of blocks, especially when Bama tries to run wide.
Hurts, take a look in the backfield. Wanted to throw downfield. Hit and sacked from the blind side by Devin Bellamy.
It's the second time Jonah Williams gives up a sack. Bellamy right here, he'll actually get cut, but he doesn't give up on the play, and Jalen Hurts is holding on to the football too long. Nice job downfield. The coverage was there. Jalen Hurts has got to get out of there or find a check down. Instead, he holds on to the ball, and the speed of Georgia eventually collapses on him.
3rd and 15. Jacobs got away from the initial tackle by Raekwon Smith, and now they're scuffling.
Yeah, be careful on 3rd down. A couple of players going at each other. Looked like the freshman Devontae Smith was involved in that from Alabama. Looked like with the veteran Dominic Sanders.
It's about 160-pound true freshman receiver involved in a scrap.
Devontae Smith trying to make his presence felt. He came in and lowered the boom on Sanders.
Here goes Wims, the top receiver on this team. Looked like he was holding that left shoulder. Must have injured it making that catch that set up the field goal. That's a serious concern for the Dogs' passing game. Terry Godwin is the returner. And Scott, it was earlier in the training tent, Tom Rinaldi reports, seems to be okay. That's a beautiful job. That's a big play in a game like this, out at the 5.
Huge play to pin Georgia down inside their 5-yard line.
Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, committed to honoring blimp-worthy athletes who demonstrate hard work on and off the field. Goodyear, official sponsor of the college football playoff. Bama trying to begin and end its season right here in this building with victories over coaches that were Saban connected. Jimbo Fisher and now Kirby Smart.
5:14 remaining in the half. Alabama gets the ball to start the second half. Jim Chaney, the play caller for Georgia, hasn't hesitated to trust Jake Fromm, but he hasn't been pinned back deep like this yet in this game. See what he does.
Chubb started the play a couple yards deep in the end zone, able to muscle for about a yard to the 6.
See, that's what you're inside your own 5-yard line. You're going to go to 2 tight end look and I formation and just try to be safe. Give the ball to Nick Chubb. But how often have you ever seen teams like LSU over the years try to line up in I formation football and play in a box? It's hard to do, and Jim Chaney again recognizing that. That's why they've been in so many formations like the one they're in right now, trying to spread Alabama out.
As the play caller trust his true freshman here on 2nd and 9. You feed Chubb again, and again, nothing.
And with Wims back in the locker room, you turn to players like Ridley, who's coming into tonight, only 8 receptions. I know he has a catch tonight. Terry Godwin, who's typically, he and Hardman are known more for being able to run option routes, more of the slot receiver. Wims was such a big target and such an advantage, especially in the back shoulder fade against the corner one-on-one. I think Ridley's got to become that guy now.
We'll see who Fromm is looking for on this 3rd and 7. Tide rush 4. Fromm has time and delivers a strike across the middle, and it is Riley Ridley stepping up. How about the poise of the freshman on that throw?
How about the call by Jim Chaney? The willingness to make this call. This tells you everything about the relationship between Chaney and Fromm against that defense. Sit in that pocket, and instead of making an easy read to the outside, no way. He's going to throw it right into the middle to his receiver Ridley, and again it opens up in the middle with the linebackers and nickelback kind of widening out, gives him an easy throwing lane on the crossing route at about 15 yards.
It's the 3rd time that Fromm has completed passes downfield on 3rd and long.
He is fired up.
Fromm flips it short, this time over the head. They target the fullback Payne again and again. No doing.
It's the 3rd time, maybe the 3rd or 4th time they've gone to that quick huddle, and they call the same play every time. They just flip the ball to the outside. We've seen it thrown to Swift a couple times out there. We've seen it thrown to Payne. And then I think the adjustments by Jeremy Pruitt and Nick Saban when they came over after that last long drive say, hey guys, if they come out with that sugar huddle, that quick huddle, here's what to anticipate, and here's how we take that away.
They've been all over it, right? Michelle on the pitch. The Tide close it down, and Michelle able to earn about 3 yards. Averett came off the corner. 3rd down again.
The pin and pull where they use their outside receivers and tight ends to try to kind of seal block or crack block the defensive end, and outside linebackers pull around the big left tackle, try to get him around the corner.
What did Pruitt say? We've got to put sideboards on the defense. Can't give him that edge.
Yeah, Georgia wants to get out there. They want to make you have to respect that. Fromm's been pretty good tonight on 3rd down.
I'll say. He brings some pressure. Dogs pick it up, and it's a low throw. It was behind Hardman. Rush didn't really affect that one too much, just that throw.
Yeah, just out of rhythm a little bit, throwing to a receiver that, while he has tremendous ability, I think Wims is his guy typically in those situations. Ridley has become that guy, and good job up front protecting him, but unable to execute. And Bama, by the way, even though their offense hasn't done a lot, they're down 6-0, and they're looking to try to get points here before this half's over.
They got 88 yards, and 47 of them, Kirk, have been on Jalen Hurts runs. Nisley, Trayvon Diggs. A flag comes in as the Tide returner gets the corner before he is tracked down there.
I think Deontay Thompson right in front of Diggs looked like he pushed a Georgia player in the back. That'll push Alabama back.
Both these teams expect really to have an edge on special teams, very strong, and so far it's Georgia winning that battle. A mistake on the Alabama return team,
especially
with field goal earlier.
2:14 to go, and you're trying to think at the very least, let's get into field goal range. And you have pretty decent field position to start this drive. And
there are 2 fouls on the play. Illegal block in the back on the receiving team, number 81. That penalty is declined. Holding. Number 81 on the receiving team. That penalty is accepted and is enforced 10 yards, 1st down.
Well, they're getting ready just outside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Centennial Olympic Park, and Kendrick Lamar. We've hoped for this and waited for this a long time. A halftime performance, not inside, but folks huddled together on a frosty night.
Be well worth it. Be well worth it.
So you're right, Kirk, with 2:14 to go before halftime. It's been a dismal offensive performance by the Crimson Tide. Now they're at the 25-yard line after the penalty.
Remember, Calvin Ridley at the bottom is the go-to guy, the player that's got to make plays in a passing game for Jalen Hurts, and Georgia knows it. He's got a safety over top.
You flip it to Harris in the flat. Hard collision. He's knocked out by the corner Parrish.
Been surprised that Georgia, Kirby Smart has decided, and along with Mel Tucker, their defensive coordinator, not to double or to try to move Baker, their best corner, 18, against Ridley. Georgia's done a very good job of moving Ridley around from the right to the left, to the outside, to the inside. This time he does go up against Baker, their top Georgia corner, up at the top.
And Harris really couldn't get going. It was a slow developing play. Shot through the hole for a couple of yards, but big John Atkins. And David Marshall, good to see he's back in the game for Georgia, that defensive end.
Bama going to go fast, trying to catch Georgia off guard. They're trying to get lined up.
Lead 4. Hurts trying to create something, buying time, runs to the sideline as it just throws it into the bench. So the Dogs flushed him out. Trent Thompson with the pressure. It's 4th down.
Jalen Hurts, when he gets pressured, sees any flash of an opposing color, his instinct is to get out. Watch the pressure. Watch the offensive line does a pretty good job of trying to take care of him. If he steps up into the pocket, he's okay. Instead, he's taking all his receivers away by bailing to the right. And on 3rd down, you just can't do that.
Another 3 and out for the Tide offense. Scott, booming punt, and Hartman up to make the fair catch. Dogs a minute 19 to work with and 3 timeouts. Maria?
Well, Chris, I saw Javon Wims come back onto the field. I'm told it's a left shoulder, and he will return to the game, which is great news for Jake Fromm. They spent the entire offseason working with one another, building that rhythm that we've seen throughout these playoff games.
Wow, Maria, that is great news. The way he looked going into the locker room, you wondered if he would have a chance to come back. And as you said, all over it, Maria, these two have great chemistry. When in doubt, the young freshman likes to look to number 6. So hopefully he's able to come back and be a factor.
Interesting story. Wims played Pee Wee football, then didn't play again until his senior year of high school. Basketball was his first sport.
Yeah. Now Chaney's been aggressive in this first half with his quarterback. Minute 19 and 3 timeouts. Let's see what he does.
Fromm making the adjustments. Play clock at 5. Tide rush 4. Fromm gets it out. He's thrown behind Ridley, who comes back and makes a nice hand catch. It's a 1st down.
I think the ball got deflected by Terrell Lewis at the line of scrimmage. 24, he couldn't get to the quarterback, so he just jumped up, and it looked like he may have got a hand on it. But Ridley, great focus to be able to hold on to that ball.
From the pocket, drops by Godwin on the comeback route. You're right. It is quite a story here that Riley Ridley, the sophomore younger brother of the Tide's superstar wide receiver, future NFL guy, 8 catches all year, and he has shown up.
Yeah.
It's his big brother's team.
And his big brother is probably a top 10 pick if he decides to come out this year in the draft. And right now he's getting the better of his brother.
Exactly a minute before halftime.
Jeremy Pruitt trying to communicate to Minka and the rest of the Tide defense.
On the long throw, it's incomplete. Just over the outstretched hands of Averett, who thought he was going to have a pick.
Well, the ball came out funky. It slipped out of his hand, but I think he misread the coverage. Jeremy Pruitt making a late adjustment. I think he was anticipating man-to-man. The ball kind of slips out of his hand, an awkward follow-through. You can see it's a duck. Goes right through the hands of Everett, who, if he intercepts that ball, it's a foot race to the end zone.
And Godwin made a terrific effort to catch it.
Expecting man, and thought he would sink back, and instead he sat underneath the throw.
On 3rd and 10, it's another run, and Michelle's free. Sony Michel has been the answer on 3rd and long against this Bama defense.
And they go behind the left tackle on 3rd down and long. Isaiah Wynn. Boy, Sony Michel has such acceleration, and when you're thinking pass, all he needs is a little crease.
Fromm, another one of those long throws right off the yard marker. 39 seconds. Dogs still have all 3 timeouts.
Just doing Jim Chaney catching Bama, Jeremy Pruitt, Nick Saban off guard with these 3rd and longs, ball into the hands on the run game to Sony Michel.
Illegal substitution. The defense had more than 11 players on the field at this. That's a 5-yard penalty, and it remains 1st down.
Yeah, Raekwon Davis was running onto the field late. Isaiah Buggs was coming off. There was some confusion. You can see Davis is right there. If you start to add up all these players, one of the players he's just walking off down here. He was on the field when the ball was snapped.
Moves the ball to the 40. They pitch it to Swift, makes a cut, and the freshman from Philly, another 1st down. Dogs trying to add to this lead. Still have those timeouts, now 35 seconds.
That's the Georgia bread and butter, the pin and pull. They pin on the seal the edge, pull the left tackle Isaiah Wynn out, who made a nice block there on the corner, Everett, and it gives Swift a nice crease to get down the sideline. Got a frustrated Alabama defense right now.
Georgia's run 43 plays to 23 for Alabama. Fromm steps up, escapes, a lot of room, and Fromm, no slide. He's going to take a shot. 1st down in the red zone. 28 seconds left.
Well, unlike Jalen Hurts, you're not always thinking about Jake Fromm pulling it down, but you see man-to-man, defensive backs have their back to the quarterback in that man coverage. Fromm recognizes it right away, and instead of trying to force the ball, he felt the pressure from his right and takes off and gets big yards. Well, he has had a great 1st half.
And a timeout called.
Still 28 seconds. Ball down to the 19-yard line.
Well, you wondered if Georgia would continue to press tempo there. They decided to use the timeout. Gives Alabama's defense a chance to regroup. Well, the Dogs, we sense that this was a team filled with belief. They had the full fuel tank, that long trip back from the Rose Bowl, and they have showed no fear.
To me, the 1st half story has been the Georgia defense playing incredibly well, but also Jake Fromm and Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator, a willingness to put the ball in his hands, spread out this Alabama defense, and be willing to take some chances by being aggressive with the play calling. Now, this is a lot of times where Bama likes to get aggressive. When you start to move the ball on them, you get down in this area, they'll start to come after you. Ridley is up to the top of your screen. Wims is still not in the game, his favorite target. Don't forget the tight end, Nada, is also off to the left.
Gotta hurry. Play action. Fromm fires down inside the 5. Slipping away and reaching for the end zone is Godwin. Stop him just short. And another fearless throw from the freshman.
Well, the receiver ran out of bounds, but actually he was pushed out of bounds. And by being pushed out of bounds, it allows him to get back in, establish himself, and make the catch.
21 seconds to go. Hand off to Chubb. Muscles down to the 2. And now Georgia and Smart will spend their 2nd timeout. It's been a 66-yard drive. 7 plays, Kirk, less than a minute.
Let's go back to that pass play, Chris. The AT&T pylon cam. It's a nice catch. Before that, he was pushed out of bounds. I'm sure there's some Alabama fans wondering. Alabama fans wondering if he stepped out of bounds on his own. You can see that as he's getting downfield, it's a critical moment in the game.
Another look at it here.
Everett, 28. See him physically just kind of manhandling him. He's very close to stepping out of bounds, and eventually
he did
out. Yeah, he did.
So Wims back in the game, and the Dogs trying to stretch this to a double-digit lead before halftime. Dominance, more than 2-to-1 edge in yards in the first half.
This same Bama defense that was aggressive a week ago against Clemson, right now, hands on their hips, looking around, on their heels.
The freshman Swift in the game. Dogs still with the 1 timeout left. Fromm fires over the head of his top receiver. Wims was guarded by Averett, and a flag comes in. Did they rough him after the throw?
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense, number 14. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
It wasn't necessarily the hit, it was the timing of the hit. Thompson, instead of letting up, he just kind of runs into him, and Fromm goes down. It wasn't how physical, and Nick Saban's frustrated because it's a mental error by Thompson.
Guy who made his first start against Clemson, and that mental mistake sets up the Dogs. The ball just outside the 1. First down.
I'd be surprised to see Michelle maybe in the wild dog.
Yep, Fromm motions out. It's Mecole Hardman instead. The receiver comes in. They hand it. Nope, they keep it. And sprinting to the edge. The Dogs barking in the first half.
When you play against your former coach, it's all about a couple wrinkles here or there. We all anticipated Michelle. Instead, it's Hardman, who's a high school quarterback, gets the direct snap.
7 seconds in a first half dominated by Georgia. Blankenship makes it 13-0. A little goal line wrinkle, and it works.
Yeah, you're going to move Fromm out, and everybody's expecting Michelle to get the ball. But what's great about this is you get a tight end Nauta leading around after the fake to Michelle. And again, a high school quarterback, Hardman knows what to do with the ball. Nauta seals it, and then it's a foot race, and nobody's going to catch Hardman to the corner. And the Dogs are on fire here, up 13 in the first half.
Bowman, a very versatile player. He's the returner we've talked about. Won the ball, second rushing touchdown. He was the guy that thought he was going to Bama. Kirby Smart and the staff came over. They flip him to Georgia, and he has hurt the Crimson Tide tonight.
And if you haven't seen Georgia play a lot this year, this first half, in my opinion, is kind of a microcosm of the year that Georgia's had offensively with Jake Fromm and the way this offense has played. Now, there's still a long way to go. You and I've called games where it looks like a game is going one way and a half. You come back into the second half, and the game flips completely. So both these coaches known for their adjustments. So a lot of football to be played.
And comebacks have been a regular feature of these big championship games. Tide just not able to get anything going offensively except the occasional Jalen Hurts run. Dogs fans are just howling in here. Blankenship's pumped up, and Jacobs has no chance.
I just have to keep stepping back and reminding myself and everybody that Jake Fromm is a true freshman. It's not that he's just executing. It's the way he walked into the stadium tonight. It's the way he's played last week in the Rose Bowl when the game was on the line. The composure and the confidence that he plays with is just extraordinary. And it's not just the way he's wired, Chris. I think it's his preparation that he puts in, where it gives him the answers to anything a defense potentially can give him. Very rare to see from a true freshman.
Comes off a Rose Bowl when he set his season high in completions. Fromm and the Dogs. It's their turn to roll in the first half. 13-0. And they close it out in their first national championship in 37 years. Rick and Saban and the Tide come back. AT&T field pass to Tom Rinaldi.
Chris, thank you very much. Under 100 yards offensively, Nick. What do you have to do to change it?
Well, we got to do something. I mean, we just can't move the ball effectively. We haven't been able to throw it effectively at all. So, and I don't think it's just all the quarterback. I think it's the whole group. We got to get open. We got to protect better. And, you know, defensively, we're making too many mistakes, especially on third down when we got a chance to get off the field. So, had plenty of chances to stay in the ball game and get things fixed at halftime.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Nick.
All right, thanks.
Let's go to Maria.
Thanks so much, Tom. Coach, a huge momentum swing with your last offensive series. What did you see from your offense the last time they took the field?
Well, I'm seeing some composure, a little physicality, doing a good job running the ball. You know, they're really big and physical up front, so they're hard to move. But our backs are running hard. The quarterback's making some really good decisions.
What's allowed you to get out to a 13-0 lead going into the locker room?
Well, I think our defense is getting the ball back for the offense. We got to make better decisions on special teams. We keep hurting ourselves with penalties. Can't do that.
All right, thanks for your time.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
You know, that reaction from Nick Saban makes you wonder if you may see the true freshman backup quarterback behind Hurts, Tua Tagovailoa, maybe get an opportunity in the second half, known as a great passer.
Yeah, Hurts 3 of 8, but Harris and Jacobs, the running backs combined, have 20 yards in the first half. It's all Georgia. Stay tuned for the Mercedes-Benz halftime report, halftime performance by Kendrick Lamar, right after these messages.
Welcome to the Mercedes-Benz halftime report.
Georgia's run nearly twice as many plays as Alabama. Mecole Hardman with the only touchdown of the first half, but the Dogs have been dominant. 13-0 over the Crimson Tide, halftime of the national championship game. Reese Davis, David Pollack, and Desmond Howard here on the Mercedes-Benz halftime report. Third down's been a problem. Alabama's converted only once. It's been a problem in their last 2 losses. Yeah. You wonder if to get something going if Tua Tagovailoa will have to play in the second half, as Herbie mentioned.
Hey, Reese, I think that might be the adjustment they may have to make because there are plays there, but Jalen Hurts, he's not making the throws. Georgia's actually just pretty much telling them, listen, we don't think you can throw the ball vertical. We're putting 8 in the box. We're going 1 high safety, and we're daring you to throw the ball vertical, and Jalen Hurts is not making the plays. He had really in the end zone for an open touchdown. The defensive back failed, and he missed him.
Any question?
Really turned the defensive back around the sideline. He skipped the ball to Ridley. If he can't make those throws, they're going to have to make a switch at quarterback.
Any question if Georgia trusts their quarterback?
They certainly do.
True freshman, 7 throws right off the jump. The biggest, there's 3 to 5 plays that make a difference in the ball game. The 3rd and 20 to Sony Michel, you get a field goal out of it. How about Alabama? Offsides on their field goal, take it off the board. So a couple plays here or there, but you got to still keep fighting. This game's far from over.
The biggest halftime deficit Alabama has faced since the Sugar Bowl loss to Oklahoma. They were down 14 in that one, down 13 in this one. Coming up for the first time ever in the college football playoff, a halftime performance by the great Kendrick Lamar. You'll see it when you come back.
Mecca, Atlanta, 2 neighboring states, hungry, battling for that beautiful trophy. About to get real loud, folks. Michelle gets the edge and throws into Alabama territory.
The margin of error throughout this game is so slight.
Hurts hit and sack. They keep it and sprinting to the edge. The Dogs barking in the first half. The underdog Bulldogs have the lead. Welcome back to the College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T. And if Georgia can hold this lead, look out, folks. Atlanta's going to come unraveled. Jake Fromm, you talked about him a lot, Kirk, in high school a year ago. Efficient, made the early mistake, the interception. He's been knocked around a bit, but boy, he has been clutch.
Well, he has. I think it's, again, combination of a lot of things in that first half. Jim Chaney trusting him, an aggressive play calling, getting the ball out on the perimeter. But look on the other side of the ball. Look what Georgia's done defensively against Alabama and against their running game. They've completely taken their running game out, put the game on the shoulders of Jalen Hurts, which we told you they're going to try to do. The running backs have 26 yards rushing. The running backs, if you take Hurts' running away, and we mentioned the possibility. There's Jalen Hurts, of course, who's 25-2 as a starter. Tagovailoa, who's the true freshman, who can throw the football well, and this game gets to a point where they're not executing at the line of scrimmage and they need to throw. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets a shot.
Now you're right, Nick Saban. It would take a lot to pull a guy who's been clutch in his career, has won 25 out of 27 starts, but that's how much they think of the passing skills of Tagovailoa. It is a pretty thing to watch that lefty spin it. So we'll see. Tide get the football first.
Nick Saban and Alabama will not go down without a fight. There is still a lot of football to be played here in this second half. Going to be interesting.
I've talked about the pain of losing a championship game, stumbling the final seconds of the final hurdle at Clemson. That's what's been driving them. There's no participation trophies sought after in Alabama. We learned that this week, didn't we? That was crushed, smashed in the weight room. Blankenship, perfect on 2 field goals. He's been knocking his kickoffs deep, and he does so again. Jacobs going to try to make a play from 6 yards deep. And fights across the 20. Capital One pivotal performance now, Kirk.
And we'll start with what Georgia was able to do late in that first half. 3rd and 10. The only 3rd down on the drive. They kept the drive alive. How about the decision making here by Jake Fromm? Recognizes man-to-man. Not really expecting Fromm to run, and he picks up big yards. And here, working through his progressions. The back shoulder there, gets the ball to Godwin, and then the creativity by Jim Chaney. Get the matchup that they want. Everybody expecting Michelle to get the ball. Instead, it's Hardman going around the corner for the touchdown.
And here it is. Tua Tagovailoa, a true freshman from Hawaii, gets the second half start. He keeps it. He's a nifty runner, not quite as powerful as Hurts, but he's in there because he's throwing it.
He is known as a distributor, a great passer, a guy who has come in and even though he hasn't played a lot of meaningful snaps, the players believe in him. The players, the receivers especially, really believe that he can make the throws to give them a chance to be more balanced than with Jalen Hurts in there.
It's still a remarkable move by head coach, and Tagovailoa from the pocket spins it. It's an accurate throw, short, complete to Hale Henches, the tight end. And now a 3rd down and medium coming up. Reggie Carter tackled the receiver.
So right now, we have 2 true freshman quarterbacks playing in the national championship.
Yep. They had Jalen Hurts a year ago, coming just short.
And he's facing his first 3rd down in this atmosphere.
By the way, there's 3 true freshman wide receivers in the game for Bama as well, as Tagovailoa tries to dodge the rush. Cannot escape. Sacked by Roquan Smith, the Butkus Award winner. QB change, same result though for the Bama offense.
Wow, the middle linebackers, they bring them both right through here. Watch Harris try to pick up Roquan Smith, but there's the quickness. He actually held him. Smith still was able to get in there and get around Damian Harris. Great athletic ability, great skills for a linebacker, and they love to blitz him.
Worse news, by the way, as you see Mel Tucker's reaction. He was part of that contingent. There was a former Alabama assistant, one of 3 smart assistants who worked for Saban. Jonah Williams, who's the sophomore left tackle, his 29th start. Tide's best offensive lineman, and the athletic trainers looking at that right ankle area. Let's go down to Tom.
Chris, as you see Jonah Williams down on the field, as we talked about, it was supposed to be a developmental year for Tua Tagovailoa, but we see him in there. We've seen him in practice, and you talk to this staff, Chris, you heard it, so did Herbie. They praise the way he throws the football. A sensational recruit out of Hawaii, somebody that Trent Dilfer at the Elite 11 level labeled as the best quarterback prospect he'd ever seen at that level. To put him in, replace somebody who's 25-2, and put him onto this stage, well, this is a test that this staff believes he will be able to manage. We'll have to also see the dynamic between him and Jalen Hurts, but a very, very bold move. We'll see how long Nick Saban sticks with it as we see Jonah Williams receive the ovation here for heading off. Chris?
Remember, Tommy, Lester Cotton, the right guard, already out, and now you see Jonah Williams, their best lineman, limping off, the left tackle.
4th 3 and out for Bama. Hardman standing at his 30. One of the bright spots for Alabama so far, the punting of Scott. Dogs block it, but they got a head start. A flag is down. They came flying off the edge out of the starting blocks, but the false start is going to erase this block punt. That's Tyler Simmons, the receiver.
Offside. Defense. 5-yard penalty.
Still going to be 4th down.
Replay 4th down.
It's very obvious. He's a little eager here.
That's a great look at it. He started off on the gunner, came down.
Did he cross?
Wow, that was really, really close.
He was behind the line of scrimmage and definitely got a running start. Take another look to see if he actually got in the neutral zone. What a huge call. Scott is methodical. He's had 3 punts blocked in his career. When he gets them off, he typically booms them. And now Hardman has a crease. Miko Hardman is knocked down. That was a very tough tackle on the coverage team by Cam Sims, the receiver, to prevent a really big return.
Hey, Chris, I think Bama may have moved with both Holcomb and Sims before the Georgia player. As he's moving there, there's movement. Nonetheless, it's obviously they make the call, but Georgia still gets a good field position on the return.
Absolutely, and there's a 54-yard punt, a 19-yard return. And the Georgia man down on the field. We'll check that when we come back. So let's take another look. Simmons got a fast start curve. There was a read. Watch the Alabama punt team. The up end flinching.
I think he reads Sims 17. Right there, that movement by 17 triggered him. He hesitated. He still gets in and blocks the punt.
Could have been a false start.
Yeah.
Not a reviewable play, though. Bad break for the Dogs. They still have it at their 36, up 13. Chubb tries to bounce it, but it'll be dropped for a loss, strung out by the hard-hitting safety Ronnie Harrison. Maria?
Well, Chris, Kirby Smart tells me coming out of the huddle that he wants his team to focus on the next 30 minutes because he says that's what's going to define him. He said in the locker room he also wanted to settle his team down. They wouldn't be too excited and too hyped off of the final drive. He told his team, too, that penalties and special teams will decide this game, and they have to make better decisions there.
Saban, meanwhile, hoping, Kirk, that someone on this defense can make a play, a takeaway. The spark Bama. 2nd and 13 from flips it in the flat and in heavy traffic. Swift tries to cut back and back-to-back losses. So the Tide defense pushing the Dogs back. Isaiah Buggs, the big fella, made that play.
Really, Minka Fitzpatrick forced the ball back inside. He was dealing with being blocked by Blazevich, the tight end, who's a big physical tight end. Does a good job of pulling and pushing it back. The crowd reacting to the face mask, a potential face mask by Buggs near the end of that play. I thought he got him close to the face mask. In fact, he grabs a hold of it. Then he gets the jersey afterwards. Got away with a pull of the face mask for sure.
Big Ten crew missed that one. That's a huge difference at a first down. 3rd and 21. And just the safe play and the handoff to Swift. Crowd is still up in arms.
And 2 big misses in the last few plays by the officials. Bama will get the ball back, but very easily could have been called for a personal foul and a face mask, giving Georgia that first down.
We saw the aggressive approach by the Tide, sensing what we talked about. It's their turn to step up and make something happen. The offense has been mute tonight. Trayvon Diggs is deep. Nislek. It's a low kick away, and Diggs is going to chase it down at the 30. Gets the edge, spins out of a tackle, and Alabama set up at the 43-yard line. Another look at the face mask that Buggs got away with.
He got a hold of him right there, and not only gets a hold of him, he gives it a yank. By the time he lets go, then he gets a hold of the jersey, and that's what made the official miss it.
Possession. Let's go to Tom Rinaldi.
Well, Jonah Williams still being tended to in the medical tent right now. The left tackle, the sophomore from California. We talked about Lester Cotton already suffering an injury. Take a look at what happens here to Jonah. You see him get clearly rolled up on from behind by Roquan, and as a result, he's still being tended to lower leg injury, still being evaluated. His return guys right now questionable, but guy that's got to protect that side, a huge position and a huge ask right now for his replacement.
A huge body, Alex Leatherwood, but no experience over there.
Freshman.
They're all over the place in this field tonight. Tagovailoa, play action, steps up, spins it downfield to Ridley, just over his hands. Still trying for that chunk play. Parrish in coverage, just overthrown.
Love the call by Brian Dable on 1st and 10. Watch Georgia attack the run in the play action. Now you've got Ridley one-on-one to get to the middle of the field. There's not a safety in the middle. It's Ridley by himself. Put the ball up in the air and let Ridley run under it. Great call. Just missed a touchdown for the Crimson Tide. But a good call by Dable.
They've had some close calls on big plays. That's that flea flicker against Clemson.
But more of a threat with him in there at quarterback.
Tagovailoa steps up. Now looks to escape. Cuts it back. Flag is down very late in the play. About a 4-yard gain. Back in the offensive line area. Saw that highlight of Ohio State beating Oregon in the first playoff championship game.
There is no foul on the play. The play results in a first down.
That was Mariota coming short against the Buckeyes. At that point, Tagovailoa was at the same high school, St. Louis High School in Honolulu, idolizing the Heisman Trophy winner. Here he is against Jake Fromm on the other side. They were roommates at the Elite 11 camp where high school kids go to prove themselves and test themselves. Here they are in the championship
Go ahead.
later.
By the way, the official said first down. It's actually 3rd down and 7. Remember that left tackle, true freshman.
Dogs don't pressure. Tagovailoa has all night hit hard, spinning around, trying to escape and create, and now he's in the clear. The freshman shows some toughness, creating a desperately needed 3rd down conversion.
Georgia plays man under with 2 deep. He has all day. Quarterbacks actually much more mobile. Tagovailoa much more mobile, but also strong. Low center of gravity, gets out of there and picks up the first down.
Bama in Georgia territory at the 44. First down throw, a slant, high, caught. Robert Foster, the senior, just his 12th of the season. Young kid feeling it.
Dominique Sanders, the safety, cheating down again. 1st and 10. What's Alabama been doing all night? Running the ball. Safety's down, loading the box. Bama throws right behind him.
Screen, Ruggs, true freshman to true freshman, and he busts down inside the 20. It's near the marker.
Boy, just a different feel from Alabama right now. Brian Dable, it's like he's been put in a much different position as a play caller now. Much more aggressive with Tagovailoa in there because of the ability to get the ball out quickly.
2nd and 1, throwing again, slant, low, and it's Ruggs, the freshman, going down again. 1st and goal, Alabama.
This is what a lot of Alabama fans have talked about, the possibility of Tagovailoa someday maybe getting an opportunity. What it's done, Chris, because of the play calling, boy, it's changed the energy and the attitude from that Georgia defense. Got to execute down here. They need 6.
Throwing again. End zone. Touchdown! Henry Ruggs. We got a freshman quarterback duel in Atlanta, and the Tide are back in it. Where does that come from, Kurt? You're in high school a year ago. You haven't played a meaningful snap all season. You're mopping up all year. You come in down 13, hostile crowd, 7 plays, 56 yards, 5 of 6 on the drive, and the touchdown to Ruggs. I'd say you're right. The energy has changed a lot.
Oh, what a different approach. Great job by Brian Dable. How about the offensive lineman, Leatherwood, the left tackle? Watch him do a good job. He has all day to be able to make this read. Watch at the top to the right. All day to throw, and eventually the true freshman Ruggs breaks away from Parrish by getting separation. Look at the anticipation. Leads him into the middle of the field where nobody's there to be able to account for him. And
there's something about him in there.
That's really cool to see Jalen Hurts. First one out to congratulate the freshman quarterback.
Out of class. proud to be a part of the team that comes together to do good by contributing to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. So Nick Saban takes one of those Saban risks. Yeah, the offense was struggling, but Jalen Hurts is a guy that is 25-2 as a starter. He's thrown one interception this season. He provided the only offense they had in the first half by running, but knowing they needed to throw the ball, they go to the freshman, and he lights it up. Hardman will bring it out. Nicole Hardman knocked down at the 6-yard line.
Now that drive was 7 plays and 56 yards. Tagovailoa on 3rd and 7. We cannot forget about that play right there. With that extra effort and the strength in his legs, picks up the first down, and after that they went tempo. Really sensing some urgency. Back-to-back throws, and then the last one to Ruggs in the back of the end zone as he pulls away from Parrish. Tagovailoa in complete control and command, and this sets up a big drive for Georgia. And after that return, they're pinned back deep in their own territory because Alabama's defense is fired up.
Hardman could have left it there. Chose to bring it out, paid the price. Tide were flying down. Play action on first down. As Fromm is trusted to make a throw, backed up, and Godwin makes the catch and moves the sticks. I mean, are these guys really true freshmen?
How good is this? How good is this? Fromm gets back there. You're thinking, okay, crowd's back into the game. Crowd's favoring Alabama. They're going to settle it down, maybe get a little conservative. Be careful. Jim Chaney says, I'm going to get the ball to Fromm. Let him fire one out to Godwin.
Now, Fromm's done this all year. He won his first start at Notre Dame after Jacob Eason was injured in the 3rd series of the season. Many feel the Dogs wouldn't be here without Fromm coming in. Now Chubb dropped behind the line. Averett invaded the backfield.
They've been bringing him on blitzes quite a bit. He's right here near side and caught Fromm, who typically kind of feels those things out. They disguised it incredibly well, did not tip their hand, and it allowed Averett to be able to get in there and be involved in being able to push Georgia back for an 8-yard loss.
It's a couple times you spotted Averett in particular fooling Fromm. 2nd and 18. Chubb. Muscles gets almost all of that lost yardage back, but it's going to be 3rd and 11. Prodigies, guys with a rare mental gift to go with the physical abilities. You're seeing this guy who's getting his first taste of meaningful action, and Fromm's really been doing it all season.
Sure has. But a big key coming into this game. So much talk about the running game. The quarterbacks not only hitting big plays, avoiding the disastrous play. 3rd down right here for Fromm.
Delivers under pressure. Downfield. Caught. Hardman. A foot race. Escapes and scores. There is a flag down. It's outside the field of play on the far sideline at the 50. So hold on. Tide signaling this 80-yard play is going to come back.
Sideline interference penalty against Georgia. It's enforced 15 yards on the kickoff.
That's a sigh of relief from Kirby Smart. That's kind of the one penalty on Georgia that wouldn't have nullified the touchdown. And Fromm chucks it deep. Hardman beats his man, and Georgia answers the Tide's first touchdown.
But Fromm on 3rd and long found a matchup to his advantage with Hardman, who has great speed. He was matched up one-on-one with the nickelback Tony Brown, a much bigger, thicker defensive back.
The ruling on the field of a touchdown is under further review.
So Tom Kissinger will take a look. The first couple of reviews have gone Georgia's way. Plays have stood. You know, again, I think an Alabama defender kept 1 foot in bounds. Now did the heel hit out of bounds?
The left heel was very, very close. That's the only time he came close to going out, is after he has contact right there with the right foot. When he lands this left foot, as he comes down right there, you can't see it.
Brown blocked that view. Here's the best look we have.
It's the best.
Is there green between the heel and the sideline?
Boy, it looks like he's on the line.
If you can't see any green, got to be ruled out of bounds. But is it enough? Is it enough to overturn the play? We'll bring in Dave Kataya. First really controversial review of this game, Dave.
Well, what you have here.
After review, the ruling on the field stands as called. Wow. It's a touchdown.
Not confirmed, but stands.
I have to agree with that because it's close. He looks like he's out of bounds, but it's not 100%. I have to agree with the replay official.
An inch difference.
It sure looked like he was out of bounds to me, but maybe they couldn't confirm that.
Yeah, I didn't see any green between the heel and the line, but you couldn't emphatically see that it hit the white either. Georgia went 93 yards, by the way, in 4 plays.
By the way,
on the last.
After Alabama scores that touchdown, an incredible answer. They tried to disguise something. Here's Deontay Thompson as safety. Here's Ronnie Harrison kind of showing a too deep look at 3rd and long. And at the snap of the ball, they go to man free. The safety will go to the middle. The matchup is right there. And with the safety moving from the hash to the middle of the field, nobody's back there to help Tony Brown. Again, a physical defensive back against the speedster, McCole Hardman. Great job by Jake Fromm seeing that post-snap movement, see the Bama defense moving, steps up, feels some pressure by Terrell Lewis, and with the safety moving off the hash, puts it way up in the air with a speedster. Again, Hardman can get to it.
What a night for the guy with track speed. Had the rushing touchdown earlier and that wild dog keeper, and then beats Brown here for 80.
Remember in the early part of the season, people talked about Jake Fromm. Now that all Georgia does is run the football, and he's just dinking and dunking. He's not really throwing the ball. My, how things have changed. SEC championship, Rose Bowl, national championship. It's a different offense than where they were early in the year when they were running the ball. They still run the ball 70% of the time, but he can throw it.
But because of the sideline interference penalty, which didn't affect the outcome of the play, Georgia has to kick off from the 20. And Bama should get decent field position as they try to answer the answer. Blankenship still boots it down to the 5-yard line. Jacobs. You can hear the pads pop. They didn't get good field position. Dogs flew down. Shane Beamer's special teams tackle him at the 23.
And we saw Tua Tagovailoa last time they had the ball. An amazing drive, such poise, such accuracy, quick decisions, ball out of his hands quickly. Let's see how he does here. Let's see if Kirby Smart, after now really seeing him, what they can do to try to make adjustments.
Hurts is being a great teammate, Kirk. You know, you were involved in a quarterback. Yeah. So he's got to be dying inside.
Yeah, he's 25-2 as a starter. Thing we got to keep reminding is the right guard Lester Cotton is out. Jonah Williams, their best offensive lineman, left tackle out. Alex Leatherwood is in at that left tackle spot. Last drive did a great job.
It's Ridley in motion. Tagovailoa looked that direction. Steps up. He takes his shot downfield. Diving attempts. It's incomplete. Trying to work a long way back to that ball was Devontae Smith, yet another true freshman. Maria.
Well, Chris, after Tua Tagovailoa led a touchdown drive, Mel Tucker, Georgia's defensive coordinator, encouraged his defense. We are fine. Keep chopping. Then he reassured them that all they have to do is stick to their fundamentals. Just because the quarterback changes doesn't mean you change. And they said when he takes off running, look to strip the ball out of his hands.
That's good advice. He hasn't been under fire much in meaningful games, as we've said. Rolls, flips it high, into traffic, intercepted. DeAndre Baker made the young fellow pay for a mistake.
He forced it.
There's a flag down on the far side.
Yeah, he forced the ball here. Should have just thrown this ball away. Remember, young guy hasn't played a lot, trying to make a play. Boy, he threw that into a lot of traffic.
Sideline warning, assessed against Georgia. That's their first. There's no...
So again, the snap was sort of high, disrupted the timing. Here's the pick.
Look at Baker keeping his eyes on the quarterback in great position on Ridley. Tagovailoa tries to get it in there. Intercepted by Baker. Aaron Davis there as well. Bulldogs catch a break. Let's see if they can capitalize when we come back. The Alabama receivers and the tight ends in the background. They're all blocking. Irv Smith, Judy, 82-4. Ridley's blocking. They're running a route. Nick Saban's got to be frustrated with what's happening. The quarterback's rolling to his left, and every one of the wide receivers was blocking. And again, he's not an experienced guy, but in that case, he's got to just throw that ball away instead of throwing it up for grabs and letting the defense make a play on the ball.
Golden Spike's shoulder pad, reward for a takeaway. And now the Dogs try to extend this lead. Any points out of this drive, it's a 3-score game. Fromm again trusted to throw on first down. Batted in the air, picked off. The Tide respond. Raekwon Davis. It's another big man interception by Bama. And they're at the 40.
You know, Payne didn't come up with the interception, but he was involved in causing it. This is a crazy play. Payne gets in. The ball bounces off Deshaun Hand and it goes up into the air. And how about the athletic ability by Davis at 6'7"? Here's pressure right here. You'll see Hand right here get involved as well. The ball will bounce off of him. So there's Payne getting inside penetration. The ball is thrown, bounces off the helmet of Hand, up into the air, and Davis with those long arms comes up with the big interception.
Tagovailoa is still in the game. We've talked all night, Kirk, about risk reward. We've seen the reward of these talented freshmen making big plays. There's the risk.
Back to back. Last two plays. Great field position for Bama.
Tagovailoa pressured, flushed, has space, and unable to escape. Raekwon Smith, but got 9.
He is a special player. He is going to grow up to be just a very balanced. You think of him, and we hear so much about his passing, what we've seen tonight. You better not sleep on his ability to create and scramble and take off and run. That was a quick 9 yards.
Harris barrels forward. They move the sticks. That interception, by the way, Kirk, you go back to Saban coach Bama teams in championship games. That was their first turnover after 376 snaps in a championship game without a turnover. Incredible. From the 25, first down. Tua, pressured, delivers to the end zone, and in a diving attempt, Sims couldn't come up with it.
You know, all these vertical shots from Tagovailoa not only gives you the threat of making a big play, it can open up the running game because those linebackers and safeties now, instead of coming downhill, they're now retreating. And Bellamy almost gets to him, but he's able to get that ball off. So keep that in mind as we're watching a lot of passing. Those linebackers and safeties, by them now backpedaling, you can still run the football and stay balanced for Alabama.
Tagovailoa flips it over the middle. Ridley bobbled, incomplete. It was a low throw, tried to make a circus catch, but he knocked it up into a dangerous area. Third down.
And as much as they try to get Tagovailoa in with the ones in practice, you know, just a little thing, the timing. He does a good job of actually baiting that defensive line. Moves off to his left and comes back to his right. And you'd love to see Calvin really get both his hands down there to try to secure that ball instead of the one hand.
Really frustrating night for the Tide's great receiver. One catch, targeted 5 times. Can they find him here? Tagovailoa chase, delivers, incomplete. Flying off the edge to pressure was the linebacker DeAndre Walker. It's 4th down.
He jumped at. There's no chance for Matt Womack because he timed it up right here. Womack wants to come out, but the speed off the outside. See how he timed that? He took a chance, and he got in there to affect Tagovailoa. By the way, if he doesn't get in there, they've got 3 linemen downfield in front of that screen and a lot of room to operate. Georgia fortunate with Walker getting in there.
Papanastos, a nervous miss from 42 earlier. This from a yard longer. Not the prettiest, but it's crucial. The Tide able to cash in Davis's interception, but only for 3 to cut the lead to 10.
But there's lots happened here.
I thought this was going to be a grind fest, running game defense. All of a sudden you put the young guys, turn them loose, and it's a shootout.
Changed. The complexion of the game has changed. Davis came up with that big interception. Get the ball back to Alabama.
The new All-State all-hands-in bus, piloted by Curtis Wilson all season long, has helped us find great teamwork and great work in the community all season long. It finishes up with a home game here.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with the All-State group, the all-hands-in team that we've had. Great games this year. We've been able to point out.
Talked about risk-reward. Both quarterbacks have made plays, make mistakes. Now it's going to be very interesting to see with the Tide cashing in the pick. Does he go right back to Fromm to shake it off, young fellow? We're going to still pitch it around.
That's what he's done all night.
Great balance. 28 passes, only 7 runs. Scott boots this one deep again. Hardman chose to bring it out last time. Doesn't make the same mistake twice. Well, both Saban, Kirby Smart, were talking about the changing times in college football. Back in the old days, you just didn't see true freshmen playing prominent roles, much less true freshman quarterbacks. Jamel Holloway,
1985, who was a great player, but the game has changed so much, and the quarterback play with the Elite 11, the quarterback coaches.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 48 on Alabama. That's a 15-yard penalty, and that's number 48's first unsportsmanlike foul of the game.
Nicky Brown, the linebacker on special teams.
Yeah, he lost his cool, ended up punching a Georgia player. Just went right after him. Right there. Lucky he didn't get thrown out of the game. Went after Walter Grant.
Talk about the importance of yards, field position. 15 on that penalty. Moves Georgia to the 40.
That's how you get taken out of the game and don't get a chance to get back out there. Oh, wow.
They'll self-police over there, won't they?
Yeah.
Chubb turns for about 5. Fromm throwing just his 6th interception of the season and last possession on the carom. Look about what's going into this game. Alabama, the pain of having a trophy ripped away from it in the final second by Clemson last year. They've stewed about it all season long and unable to impose themselves on Georgia here. And temper's boiling over. Backup linebacker. Second straight run for Chubb. He tries to bounce it outside, but Rashaan Evans, the senior, playing in his 7th playoff game, makes the tackle.
I'm surprised there that Jake Fromm. Something to keep in mind. I wouldn't be surprised next time they run something like that. As he pulls that, he walks around the edge. Bama not respecting Fromm's ability to run. It collapsed inside on Nick Chubb. And I'm just not saying here, but later in this game, they're going to go back to that. And Jake Fromm's going to keep that ball, and he's going to get around that corner if they don't start respecting his ability to run.
Top receiver Wims out of the game on 3rd and 6. Fromm has plenty of time and delivers a high throw, and the catch is made by Riley Ridley. So his big brother has been frustrated all night. Little brother is stepping out of the shadow.
Oh, this is nice job. Great execution there again. Terrell Lewis is in there, throws that ball high to the outside. Done that all year. That ball thrown to the boundary, that comeback, and Ridley continues to have the best game of his career.
One of the stories of this game, besides these freshman quarterback starring. Georgia back in Tide territory inside of 3.5 in the 3rd quarter. Michelle spun down after a strong 4-yard gain.
I keep saying about what Tagovailoa is doing to the Georgia defense with the passing game, and with Jake Fromm continuing to convert on 3rd and long. They're now 8 of 14 on 3rd down. Many of the cases, it's 3rd and long.
Bama allowing 34% on 3rd down this season.
He's 5 of 9 on 3rd downs for 134 yards. Line's doing a good job of protecting him. Like I said, a lot of those are 3rd and long.
Fromm does pull it and keep it, as you suggested, but that time the Tide were ready. Mac Wilson dropped him for a loss.
Well, this is a different call because they brought the tight end around with him, Jackson Harris. And by the tight end coming around, it actually brought the linebacker right here. The tight end moves and watch the linebacker come with him. That's why he's able to get out there. Another reaction from the crowd with a push after the tackle by Mac Wilson. They wanted another dead ball personal foul on Alabama. Just kind of shoved his head after he made the tackle.
Michelle is the back. Ridley's out there on the right on 3rd and 6. Fromm has a clean pocket and delivers. A strike ball comes out. Not held long enough. Levi Wallace just ripped it away from Ridley.
Well, Fromm is making plays on 3rd and 9 a lot of times to Ridley, but let's give Levi Wallace a lot of credit because this ball looks like it's caught yet again, kind of an option route, and eventually Wallace is able to separate him from that football. I don't know if he ever quite, he looks like he might have had fingertip control, but Wallace, good position, is able to knock that ball loose.
Bryce Ramsey, who is the 3rd-string quarterback, he can also punt the ball. He's in there. Obviously, he can throw it, too, looking to fake it. And now at the last second, with the rush coming, he pooches it up very high, and Diggs makes a fair catch. He flirted with that in the SEC championship game and got Auburn to spend a timeout.
Well, he almost allowed Deron Payne to block that.
Sure did.
I mean, you got to go one way or the other. You're either going to fake it or you're going to punt it.
No, they maybe overthought that.
I mean, the big fella, look at the big fella Payne get in there at 300 pounds. He's thinking, is he going to throw this? No. Oh, if he gets his hand on that, he might have another opportunity to be an offensive player. Maybe pick up a block punt and run 50 yards.
As it was, though, Bama makes a stand after Georgia had gotten into their territory. Inside of 2 minutes in the quarter. Bo Scarborough hasn't yet got going. Big fella turns the corner and bangs across the 35.
And that was my point last possession. There's no reason to go completely away from this running game. The safeties are backing out, respecting the deep ball. Different kind of coverage. They can still run the football and stay balanced with Tagovailoa because of the way he throws a lot of times on 1st and 10.
Scarborough's waited all night for a run like that 16-yarder.
Empty set, quick, ball's coming out quick.
Dogs rush 5 does come out. Ridley, Calvin finally makes a play. He is slung down by J.R. Reed.
They just want to get the ball to him in any way that they can. Get the ball to him in space. He's a guy that not only can go vertical, he's a guy that can make a catch underneath, shake a player or two, and all of a sudden take it 55 yards.
9-yard catch, and that's 6-yard catch. 2nd and 4. Scarborough just slammed into a red wall and is knocked down for no gain. David Marshall made the play, and the Tide, the final minute of the quarter, face another 3rd down and short.
And Kirby Smart, Mel Tucker blitzing those 2 inside linebackers. Good run blitz there. Reggie Carter, Roquan Smith.
Late pressure. Tagovailoa throws it out there. It's caught, but Roquan Smith knocks down Scarborough. Just like he made that big play against Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. It's 4th down.
He's in man-to-man. You're going to see a receiver come here. Watch his vision. He gets behind, potentially getting picked. They try to pick him right there. He goes deep to get behind it. Then he comes downhill and keeps Scarborough short of the 1st down.
Roquan Smith, we're approaching 250 career tackles. The Beckus Award winner. What a player.
So special.
Scott. A high boot, and a fair catch made back at the 10 with 8 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. Tom, what do you have?
Chris, a potentially serious situation here. They're bringing the medical out. Kyrie McDonald, the freshman defensive back, has collapsed in the Bama sideline of the bench area, surrounded by all the members of their training staff right now. They're bringing a stretcher out for him. They have him on his side, ice-soaked towels around him. No one knows exactly the nature of why he collapsed, but it would appear to be a serious medical situation right now. Kyrie McDonald, freshman defensive back for Alabama, being fully tended to. Obviously, we'll keep you updated on what's happening. They're trying to clear players away from where he is right now in the area.
Tom, thank you. Give you information just as soon as we get it. In the meantime, because it's well clear of the sideline, play continues. Final play of the quarter. Michelle muscles. You know, Alabama outscored Georgia in the third 10-7, but it's still the dogs, the underdogs, up double digits headed to the fourth quarter, trying to end a championship drought of almost 4 decades. You're watching the College Football Playoff National Championship Game presented by AT&T on ESPN. Fourth quarter to decide the title. The College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. Back to Tom Rinaldi on the Tide side for an update.
You can see Tyreek McDonald right now, again, the freshman defensive back being loaded onto the medical cart, awake, conscious right now. But what was a serious situation, surrounded by the medical staff, apparently just collapsed in the bench area of the Crimson Tide. Glad to see his eyes open right now. He was nodding during some of the prompts that the training staff was giving him. And obviously we'll update you as we go on right now. But good to see him awake, alert, gave a little bit of a smile there as he heard the crowd shout at him. But he's about to be let out of here, guys. We'll keep you updated, of course.
Meantime, Georgia begins the final quarter, beating Sony Michel, and he busts out across the 20.
Boy, he is physical runner. Good job getting movement right side of that offensive line. Freshman right guard Ben Cleveland's able to come down, help on the nose, and climb up to the linebacker. And again, with Sony Michel, he doesn't need much of a crease to be able to shoot through there, lower his shoulder, and pick up big yards.
He's got it again. Cuts back. It's an effective play. Another first down gain of about 5.
Yeah, it's been tough sledding in the middle, the way it is for most teams that try to run the football against Alabama between the tackles. They have done such a good job of mixing up formations and looks, trying to get the ball mainly on the perimeter, putting the ball in the hands of Fromm, throwing downfield, and then occasionally going back to running up the middle. But there hasn't been a lot of that between the tackles.
Run between the tackles again, and Michel busts loose across the 40, and the Dogs are just driving it right at Bama.
Watch the left side of this offensive line. Isaiah Wynn, left 77, Baker. I love how Wynn, who's a former guard, has such a comfortable feel to him and being able to come down and help once it's secured on the defensive lineman. Patiently works up to that linebacker, and when you're getting movement on Alabama at the defensive line spot, you're going to get a chance to get some big yards running the football. It's just rare to see.
The drive all Sony so far, but he steps out and Chubb spells him and powers up the middle. This has to be eating Saban and Pruitt alive. At 10-point deficit, they can't stop the middle run game.
And a little bit of a change there by Nick Saban and Jeremy Pruitt. They try to stunt, just trying some movement. That time they moved himself out of the hole and gave Nick Chubb even more room to work. This is what Georgia's done to defenses most of the year, is get him into the fourth quarter and try to start to lean on him even more and wear him down.
Chubb again. You know, Georgia's only played 2 close games. That come from behind victory at Notre Dame in game 2, the late game-winning field goal, and that rally against Oklahoma from 17 down. They are devastating in this position, though.
Absolutely. It's where they've been, with the exception of the trip to Jordan-Hare. Their third down has been a strength tonight for Georgia, 8 of 15.
Chubb motions back in. 3 receivers to the right. Fromm pressured, sacked. Right up the middle was Raekwon Davis, who made the pick, and now that drive killer.
Great coverage downfield. Fromm had nowhere to go with the ball. They matched up well with their matchup zone, turns into man-to-man principles. Davis is right here, gets a good push. He's so long, so athletic in the inside. See how he's able to just get off of Ben Cleveland using his hands and quickness.
Nisley timed the punt as the Tide peel back to set up a return. A very low pick. And it's going to be fielded there by Trayvon Diggs, who's tackled immediately. So Raekwon Davis trying to single-handedly on that defensive side bring the Tide back in it. Yeah, the interception led to a field goal, and Sack has given the ball back to the Tide offense. The Tide led by 10 at this point in the game. Back and forth in a great fourth quarter. Clemson got him. Watson to Renfro with a second to go. Now they are down 10, but Georgia fans hardly comfortable. Eerily similar storyline to the classic SEC championship game. Dogs led by 11 in the third. McCarron, Cooper put him up, and then Georgia drove down and fell one play, a couple seconds short. To continue with the theme, true freshman Najee Harris is in the game. And he makes a big play, and Harris. It's nothing but freshmen running around out here, Kurt.
It's also a good job by this offensive line, pulling around both their guards. Pierce Baker, Hasenauer, both young linemen be able to pull around there, especially the right guard there who's in for Lester Cotton. And Najee Harris is a big back, but he has great speed if he can get out in the open field.
Been a frustrating night for Damian Harris, their leader, no relation. And Najee getting a turn. That time they fake it to him. Tagovailoa has lots of time and a big cushion for Cam Sims, who makes the catch. Still fighting, spinning, takes a big shot at the 46 from Trenton Thompson. They move the chains.
Trenton Thompson chasing that play down. Has good speed for a big guy, and he's able to catch up to Sims, who turns back into the play right there. Boom.
All move to the 46. Get it at quick. Foster, 2 blocks on the edge, and they move the ball into the Dogs' territory.
What just a different feel with Tagovailoa. They're stretching this defense vertically, horizontally. If you're just tuning in, Jalen Hurts, who's 25-2 as a starter, struggled in the first half. Alabama not doing anything offensively. Nick Saban rolls the dice. You see Sims after that hit checking out. Puts in a true freshman, hasn't played any meaningful snaps all year, and it's kind of sparked this Alabama offense.
And now Harris is the 4 tailback, bounces it. Najee Harris in the clear, a powerful run, still battling and slung out inside the 10 by Roquan Smith.
What a great block by Jerry Jeudy. Watch number 4 in the crack block. Boom, right there on Aaron Davis. Set, got the edge. And as I said, Aaron, you see Najee Harris, how big he is. You think of him as a power back, but pretty nifty, able to keep his feet and his balance, and Alabama's in business.
36 yards. Got it again, feeding the hot hand. Little hesitation, and earns about 3. So many guys stepping up that we don't expect to see on the massive stage because of their inexperience.
Remember we talked about Georgia had to go all the way out to the West Coast and play in a game in double overtime. They had to fly back. How much did the wear and tear take a toll on them? Alabama played a game late against Clemson. What kind of toll would it take on them? Fourth quarter now.
Tagovailoa pump fake for the end zone. Jeudy just over his fingertips. The flip side, though, is Bama hasn't been able to really work on this defense, soften them up. That's only the 51st play tonight.
Yeah, but I'm just looking out there and I'm watching both teams kind of hands on their hips a little bit. This tempo is very, very tough to prepare for both teams because you really can't simulate that in practice. Got a lot of speed. See if they can try to isolate their big target, Calvin Ridley, who will be at the bottom.
Yeah, he's the veteran. 3 freshman wide receivers in there for the true freshman quarterback. And now Georgia said they're going to spend a timeout. So 3rd and 8 as the Tide try to cut into this 10-point lead. Inside of 10 to play. It's Blimpworthy, Goodyear official sponsor of the College Football Playoff. Downtown Atlanta. Big wheel keep on turning. First words to Sweet Home Alabama, the song that they were just playing in this timeout, as the Tide back to work for 3rd and 8.
Remember Malcolm Parrish, the corner at the top of the screen. Alabama has gone after. Right now you have Robert Foster, who's lined up against him.
from the pocket. Tagovailoa to the end zone. Incomplete. Skying up. Trying to make the catch was Judy. Dominic Sanders, tremendous effort.
Chris, he has the ball. It's just a matter of does he have possession while his feet are down. Sanders intercepts the ball. Let's see. Take a look at his feet. Whoa! The ball went in the air. He had the ball against his leg, and then it went up in the air after his feet were up.
Check the AT&T pylon cam. Georgia fans are hardly neutral on this call. I think you're spot on, Kirk. Ball bounces up in the air.
He had it against his thigh, and then it jumped into the air after he was in bounds. Watch the ball right there.
Yep.
That's what they're going to take a peek at to see if he lost possession of the ball.
To me, he didn't secure it until he was in the air and then landed over the end line.
Great effort, by the way.
Tremendous.
By the veteran who's played as much football as anybody in the country.
Risky throw in the end zone. Tagovailoa trying to find Judy.
Prior to the expiration of the play clock, the officials were notified that the previous play is under further review.
So they'll check that out just to make sure Sanders did not have control.
Good look at Mel Tucker, the defensive coordinator from Georgia, with Sanders.
There's a lot in the line for Sanders because he's got 16 interceptions. He ties Jake Scott and Bakari Rambo for the Georgia record. And he'd been able to grab this, Kirk.
Right, if he held on
to
it
game.
right there, Chris, it's an interception. And see how he loses it. Then he goes into the air.
Would have prevented this field goal attempt and given him the Georgia career record.
Alabama's
last game.
Alabama's thinking, let's just make sure this is incomplete. Let's get a field goal, get within one possession with 9.5 minutes to go.
See why Sanders was frustrated if he'd gotten it cleanly to pick.
After further review, the defender never attained possession of the ball in bounds. The ruling on the field is confirmed. It's fourth down.
So now Papanastos, who missed early 40, they went from 43. This is just a 30-yarder to make it a one-score game. Doug's very good at the field goal block when they got Oklahoma's. Don't come after that one. And Papanastos able to curl it through. Alabama back within 7. You're watching the College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T on ESPN. Now stay tuned after the game for the Ford Escape postgame. Herschel Walker, honorary captain. Vince Dooley, coach of that Georgia team. Really the only true national championship team for Georgia in 1980. They had one in 1942, Kirk, but the computers voted on it. No human poll picked Georgia. They liked Ohio State.
How cool is that to see Herschel Walker and Vince Dooley sitting here in Atlanta looking out over this field watching the Bulldogs play for the national championship? You think this fan base is hungry to try to get there first since 80?
Starving. Hardman ripped and thrown down inside the 15. A vicious tackle by the man who was so fired up over there for Bama. Mickey Brown before in the bench.
Remember, he got a personal foul for taking a swing, and this time comes down with bad intentions again. A big man covering that kickoff. Dave Kataya gives me the thumbs up saying it's a clean hit.
Now Georgia, all of a sudden, it's back to a one-score game. 9:20 to play, and they are backed up at the 14. And the Tide folks trying to make it tough as Fromm motions out. It's Chubb in the wild dog. Takes off. Fairly predictable, and the Tide flowed to the right, dropped him for a loss. These two freshman quarterback, Tagovailoa coming on at halftime for Jalen Hurts, who wasn't hurt. They've been just making the decision to go for the young guy to spark the offense.
And you see true freshmen, not just the quarterbacks, but we've been saying true freshmen a lot tonight. Alabama's leading rusher and leading receiver are both true freshmen. We've seen the quarterbacks playing, and we've seen a lot of linemen in this game that are young true freshmen.
Georgia's got one in there. DeAndre Swift in the slot to the left. And it's Hardman who's had a big night on the end around. They don't contain him at the edge. That'll drive Pruitt crazy.
How do you beat Alabama? Since Nick Saban's really gotten Alabama going in 08, you go back over the years and you think of the Johnny Manziels, and Ole Miss has been able to do it, and very few teams. Auburn's had some opportunities. Clemson, of course, with Deshaun Watson. If you don't have a quarterback like Deshaun Watson, you've got to have players like Hardman who can get out on the perimeter and try to find some opportunities to get in space and accelerate upfield. That's what they've done tonight.
Dogs need 2 to prolong the drive and chew on some clock. Hardman again. This was the look that scored the touchdown. This time they give it to Michelle up the middle, and nothing doing. The Tide rise up and stop him a yard short. 4th down. Davis and Payne clogged the middle.
Yeah, that was all Daron Payne in the middle, being able to get off of his block. Watch 94 here in a critical moment in this game. You wonder if Hardman's going to fake and go around the corner the way he did last time. Watch Payne in the middle, get off of 2 blocks and hold his point and push Hardman back into that backfield short of the 1st down. Big time play by 94.
He made a couple of them in that win over Clemson. You recall the interception. It set up his own touchdown reception. Nisley. He was at Columbia a year ago. Boots it deep. Diggs. Dancing around. Slithers free for a short return out to the 35. Bama has battled back within 7. 7:10 to play. Freshman on the Alabama offense in that timeout. Jalen Hurts, a freshman last year, had his helmet off, and it was a year ago he was in this position trying to bring the Tide back from a deficit against Clemson. He did it before Deshaun Watson worked his magic. Now he has to watch, see if Tagovailoa can get the Tide even here.
He's shown a lot of maturity in the way he's handled Tagovailoa going into this 2nd half.
How many more possessions will Bama have, Kirk, in this 4th quarter?
Yeah, you're looking at a couple more possessions with 7:10 to go.
Damian Harris comes in motion. Tagovailoa fakes the run, and now he's going to flip it to Harris in the flat. Makes a man miss, and Damian Harris, after a frustrating night, spins across the 50 into Georgia territory.
You know, of all the backs that they have, he reminds me the most of a Mark Ingram type of back. Good action, threatening him downfield with the action from Tagovailoa, and then it's just getting the ball out to Harris out in space where he can make some people miss.
Tagovailoa takes off, holding him up briefly there was DeAndre Walker before the D-line could clean him up. This is a real test of this defense.
Great play on the right side by Thompson, 78. He gets off right there. They're reading him. And then the real play is by Walker, forcing him back inside. Good job on that right side.
Deep, Kirk. This is the 15th game for Georgia, 14th for Alabama. Dogs had to spend a lot more energy in the semifinal and make a long trip back. And they hold on. Play action. Tagovailoa has to escape and fired on the sidelines into the bench under heavy pressure from Thompson.
Good job. Remember, he threw one into coverage earlier that was intercepted. This time, a lot of pressure. He gets hit hard after he throws his football, but at least he threw it away where nobody could make a catch, and now it's 3rd down and long.
Tide continue to struggle in these championship games on 3rd down. 4 of 26 combined in the last 2 championship games. They need 9. They have 2 plays to get it. Tagovailoa, a downfield shot, and here comes a flag. A battle on the edge between Parrish and freshman Devontae Smith.
They go after Parrish. They've been going after him all night. It's another freshman, Smith. They get tangled up.
Defense number 14.
You can see the arms from Parrish extend.
Automatic first down.
And that's what they made the call on. He's frustrated with it. He felt it was a little bit of incidental contact where they're both kind of looking back, but the officials right there on top of it saw his arms come through, and that's what they made the call on. I know you're a big fan of
today's standards. That wasn't a whole lot, I'll be honest with you. First down at the 33.
Remember, when Bama's gone tempo, it's been very productive with Tagovailoa in there.
The lefty fires downfield. Judy goes up. Freshman to freshman again, and the Tide set up inside the 15. He's all of his height there.
Chris, look at the background right here. Watch how he's man-to-man, and then the guy just lets go of him. It looked like it was Tyreek McGee. He was running with him, and then midway through the route, he aborted, relied on somebody else. There was no one else there, and Tagovailoa does a good job of recognizing it, putting the ball there where Judy can go up and make a great play.
Tide 13 yards from tying this championship game. They pick up the pressure. End zone throw. Leaping catch. No, incomplete. Again, full extension by Calvin Ridley. And DeAndre Baker wins that battle.
Chris, that's good against good. That's a Todd McShay, Mel Kiper video replay right there. This is two guys that will be potentially first rounders next year. Baker is stride for stride. The ball is thrown perfectly to give Ridley a chance at the ball. Baker brings his right hand through to knock that ball away in the AT&T pylon cam, giving us a great view.
It was that late swipe.
Right at the last second.
For Baker. Keeper. Tagovailoa cuts it back. He's shifty. Down to the 6.
They got a nice push. Got a nice push there from Pierce Baker, 71. He was going to be maybe stopped at about the 8 or 9 yard line, and Pierce Baker pushing him, which is legal now in college football, all the way up to about the 6 yard line.
Final 5 minutes and counting. 3rd and 3. Ridley to the far right. Damian Harris is plastered in the backfield. Trenton Thompson is having a game tonight. 4th down.
Boy, Thompson has that ability to slip through, puts Nick Saban and Brian Dable in an interesting position. Nick Saban's been going for it a lot this year on 4th down. 14 of 17 on the year. 1 and 4 in their loss at Auburn. It's a big play here for Brian Dable.
You get a first down at the 3. Play clock at 5. Does he see it? Timeout. He did not see the play clock, and you can excuse the true freshman for not being aware. Saban, however, charged down and spent the timeout.
And the reason that's significant is, of course, you need to get the timeout. He's a freshman. I understand that. But if you go for it here and you come up short, you still have Georgia pinned inside the 6 yard line, and you've got 3 timeouts remaining. They're going to run the ball more than likely, make you use your timeouts, and you're going to get the ball back around midfield with a chance to go to work. Now you have to spend the timeout. Now it makes it a little bit different if you come up short here, as far as the clock is concerned.
Again, Brian Dable has been 18 years out of college football. I haven't seen a college game until the opener in this building against Florida State, making this big play call.
Was a GA for Nick Saban at Michigan State.
You've got Najee Harris, the true freshman, trotting out to stand to the left of the freshman quarterback. They get a first down at the 3.
It's where you save that play for late in the game, play you haven't called.
Tagovailoa, plenty of time, surveying the field, fires end zone, touchdown! Calvin Ridley finally makes an impact. The superstar receiver waited all night for that moment. He'd been targeted. He'd been missed. That time, Tagovailoa coolly spins it to him. And now Papanastos to tie the game at 20. 3:49 to play. Alabama. 20 points after halftime, all with Tagovailoa at quarterback.
So he's going to look to his right to hit Ridley right away, but you're going to see Dominic Sanders get in the way of the route. Right here, look at his eyes. He's trying to go right here, but you have Sanders who takes that away. What's great is Ridley doesn't give up on the play. Keeps working against man-to-man, pulls away from Aaron Davis. A great effort, and how about the moxie and the poise by the young freshman quarterback sitting in that pocket, 4th down, game on the line potentially, and he throws an absolute rope. On the run, defense closing in on him, throws it away from the defense, and Ridley makes the play.
There's no structure to that play. That's just street ball in downtown Atlanta. Nick Saban says, finally, we're back even. And that decision to pull number 2 there, Jalen Hurts, 25-2 as a starter, right now looking like a genius move.
No doubt about it. Took guts to make the move. Definitely has created a spark.
Hardman, who scored 2 touchdowns tonight, 1 running and 1 receiving, returns it out across the 22-yard line. And now Jake Fromm, born for these kind of moments. One of those kids that just told us last week never really felt uncomfortable in his life, not in any setting. Grew up hunting and fishing with his grandfather. That was really his first love, not football. But when he put a football in his hand, Kirk, he's always been a prodigy.
Yeah, he has, but as good as he has played tonight, the last 2 series, Georgia's kind of lost their mojo and their rhythm. He hasn't thrown a pass in the last 2 series. And now the game's tied, and he's got to go out much like he did at the end of the Rose Bowl. In that case, he was trying to tie it in regulation. Here, he's going to try to go down and win it.
And it's not the seniors, Chubb and Michelle, but the freshman Swift to his left. Fromm has time in the pocket. It's an inaccurate throw, incomplete.
Well, Payne got in there. He got off of the left guard, Kendall Baker, and that's what Nick Saban calls affecting the quarterback. We don't always have to sack him. Let's affect him, and that's exactly what Payne did there by getting down into the face of Fromm. It forced him to throw that ball a little bit off balance and caused to be an incomplete pass and an errant pass.
Tide rush 4. Fromm delivers near sideline. It's Riley Ridley. Will be ruled out of bounds before he spun and made the dive. So 3rd down and 4 coming up.
Ridley's been there for him all night, and often it seems like they're on the right side. Amazing, he leads his team in receptions tonight.
He said they hadn't thrown last couple series. They're trusting Fromm in this series.
How about Michelle and Chubb not in to start this series? They've gone with the freshman Swift.
Incredible. It's Nauta, the tight end, motioning in. Time again. High throw, incomplete. Tide rushed 4, and that was delivered over the head of his receiver. 4th down.
It's the first time tonight it just felt like Fromm was a little bit out of sync, maybe just trying to force the throw a little bit. Most of this night we've seen him comfortable, we've seen him confident. In that series, I don't know if that was all him or some of Alabama in good coverage as well, but it felt different on that series from Fromm here late in this game.
Nisley to punt it to Trayvon Diggs. Tide really haven't made a big impact play in the return game really all year. It's a good punt. Diggs is driven back to the 20. 1 cut up the middle, effective return to the 35. 2:55 to go. And the freshman who hadn't had a meaningful snap all season long off the bench in the second half. A chance to win Nick Saban's 6th national championship.
A year ago, he's leaving Hawaii and enrolling in college in Alabama, trying to figure out where the dorms are and where is he walking around to go to class. And Jalen Hurts continues to support him, which is one of the coolest things I've seen tonight, being a great teammate.
Tagovailoa's family moving from Hawaii here to Alabama. His younger brother's a talented prospect in high school too. Najee Harris cannot turn the corner. The Dogs invade, and Roquan Smith makes a big play.
Defensive line eating up those offensive linemen. A young freshman that's in there for Jonah Williams. Alex Leatherwood's playing a left tackle spot. He tried to get up to the fleet-footed Roquan Smith to no avail. Roquan has such great instincts and ability to diagnose, and if you don't get a body on him, he's going to make the tackle. I promise you.
Feeling a second consecutive overtime game after the first in Rose Bowl history?
Not the way he's throwing the ball. Let's see what happens here.
Got to hurry again. Play clock winding down. Harris has the handoff, fights off a high tackle and just barrels out across the 45. Barely got that play off. That was real close.
Yeah, the right side here. Womack and Hasenauer watch this double team working this way, and they create a nice lane right there for the freshman to be able to get through there. Tell you again, he puts his foot down and accelerates upfield. He is a handful at 227 pounds.
Tied with tempo, testing the mettle of this Dogs defense. Tagovailoa sideline route. It's easy pitch and catch to Ridley. Be careful, Calvin Ridley starting to get involved now.
I'm very surprised. It looks like we have a flag down. We're going after Malcolm Parrish all night. Surprised Georgia's not putting a safety over top of him.
Personal foul, face mask, defense.
Parrish guilty of the 15-yard penalty.
As he was tackling him, took a stiff arm from Ridley and then grabs onto the face mask as he's going down.
Ball at the 31-yard line. Already in fringe field goal range for the senior Papanastos. Run all the way. Chase down at the 25.
Boy, that's great job by the left side again. True to their word. The coaches, we said, well, you've got four talented backs in Harris, Scarborough, Jacobs, and the freshman Harris. How do you pick who you're going to play at a crucial moment? They just said it's kind of a feel. We just kind of feel it out. And you got Najee Harris out there playing in the biggest moment of the year for Alabama. And playing well.
2nd and 4. They play a little cautious here. Well within field goal range. Run left. Bounced hit, and he'll be knocked out right at the line of scrimmage. 3rd down now.
Big Jonathan Ledbetter that time was the difference maker. He's able to get by that freshman Leatherwood. It's been a battle up front when both teams have tried to run the ball. Reggie Carter also coming over to help out.
Georgia led it 20-7 in the 3rd quarter. Bama 13 straight points behind the freshman quarterback and freshman running back, and big play by the senior receiver. 3rd down. Keeper. Tagovailoa lowers the head, shows the power, and gets a first down. He just ran over the senior Sanders.
Yeah, he went right over top of him. Mentioned how strong he is, his lower body for being a young player. People forget that he can run the ball, and he's not only slippery and quick, but he can be powerful. This is a big 3rd down and short. Dominique Sanders comes up. Safety up at the top, comes down quickly along with Carter. He's right there to make the play.
Talking about a guy.
Tagovailoa lowers that shoulder and gets more yards.
Yeah, he's never started a game. Tagovailoa barely played, running over a dude who's making his 53rd start in college football. And making himself an instant legend in the football lore of the Crimson Tide. Bama can finish off this drive with a game-winning score.
Papanastis has struggled from the left hash earlier tonight, missing one.
Yep.
Sugar Bowl against Clemson also from that left hash.
Yeah, his last two misses before the one early tonight hit off the left upright. And his opening miss tonight, you're right, was an ugly one. Interesting conversation with this guy. 20 years season ticket holder. Crimson Tide games, his family. He's going to games his whole life. Brian Denny. Straight keeper, and Tungabailoa moves it to the right hash.
They're getting away from that left. Get off that left hash. Georgia calls another timeout. I mean, you just have to think about the whole college football community out there watching, players, coaches. You know, you go through so much in the off season as a team. Every team out there, winter conditioning, getting up at 5 in the morning, go through spring football, two-a-days. Sweating, you sacrifice, you commit so much, hoping to be able to have a great year. And these two teams have been able to climb all the way to the top, winning in the semis, and now here they are tonight, and we're at 20-20 with 49 seconds left.
And it may come down to a young man who didn't get a scholarship offer from his beloved Crimson Tide. Papanastis had a good career in Oxford, Mississippi. Loved Ole Miss, but had a chance to sort of transfer back. Adam Griffith was a good kicker. That's why he didn't try out for Alabama in the first place. Transfers back, trying to stay calm.
Georgia now out of timeouts. Bama still has the 2. Damian Harris giving him a few words of encouragement. You got this, man, no problem. Now they're just probably going to work, controlling the clock, work this to the middle of the field.
Or wherever Papanastis wants it.
Yeah.
One to the right. Tungabailoa knocked down at the 15. They'll keep that field goal attempt. Looks like on the right hash. The clock continues to run. Kickers and punters and the holders and the snappers spend most of their careers, Kirk, at different fields in the offense and defense, working in solitude.
Absolutely.
The mental part, trying to get the muscle memory down. Papanastis is a really good golfer, and he compares kicking to golf. You know, try to get that swing down so it's just automatic under pressure.
He's going to get his chance.
Tungabailoa is under center. Play clock winding down, and this will be it. Saban says, wait a second. You got that a little too close. I wanted a timeout. 6 seconds remaining. Mad at his quarterback.
He's frustrated because he wanted to run the play and then call the timeout, not let the clock run all the way down.
Here was Papanastis' first attempts. 40. Timing was just never there, and he got a little aggressive with the plant foot. Made the correction later on. Did a couple of them.
Remember, you and I were at the Rose Bowl, and it came into overtime, and then it went into double overtime, and Lorenzo Carter was able to use his entire body at 6'6", 243 to be able to block a field goal in the second overtime. Right there, hung in the air forever, got his right hand on the ball and able to knock that away. You can bet he's going to be thinking about trying to have another opportunity to try to get up in the air and knock it down again.
Look who's back in the game at quarterback. Jalen Hurts is in the huddle now. His first snap of the second half. On 3rd and 6, Saban preferring the steadier hand, at least in terms of experience.
Well, it's because they're probably going to move over to the left a little bit and get a quick timeout.
They get down. They do. And this will be the final play to decide whether or not Alabama will roar back and claim a 5th championship in 9 years and prolong Georgia's drought in painful fashion. A miss, of course. We headed overtime.
And And we don't have any timeouts remaining, so nobody's going to call a timeout. Nobody's going to get iced. They're going to line up and they're going to kick a field goal and either, as you said, win this game, win another championship for Alabama and Nick Saban, or we're going to head to overtime.
J.K. Scott, the senior holder, punter, kickoff man, 7th career playoff game. He couldn't ask for a steadier hand as the holder. Snapper, Scott Meyer. You ready for this? A freshman from Georgia, by the way.
Of course. Of course. We need another freshman out there.
Papanastos for the national championship from 36 yards. No! Hooked it! The Dogs have life, and we're headed for overtime. You feel for any kicker comes up short in that situation.
Yeah, you do. That was one. When you miss it that bad, that's pressure. That's pressure getting the best of you. He slipped there with his left foot. His plant foot looked like it slipped a bit.
You deal with kickers, Kirk, that work on natural grass most of the season. The plant foot's a little tricky on these fields with the rubberized pellets. Alabama, a chance to win it. We're going to head to overtime. Find out who's leaving here with a trophy. We are back. The College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T. 60 minutes. Not enough to settle this backyard feud. Crimson Tide 20. Dogs 20. Coming up is the important coin toss to decide which team will choose to go on defense first. The other team will then choose which end of the field they want to play in. Papanastos, Kirk, somehow has to shake off that crushing miss to be called on right here in the overtime to win it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know if it's they get the ball first or if they have to react to what Georgia does.
Captain's back out.
Congratulations to both teams. We still don't have a champion. We're going to keep playing until we get one. Alabama, you're still the visiting team. We're going to have another coin toss. The winner of the coin toss gets to decide either who gets the ball first or which end of the field that we play on. The loser of the coin toss gets the remaining option. Because you're still the visitors, we have the same coin. The football is heads, and the Mercedes-Benz Stadium is tails. What's your call?
Tails.
Tails is called. Here we go. It is a tail. You want to go on defense first?
Yeah, we're going to play defense first.
That's what I thought. Which end do you want to play at?
And Capron seems to be enjoying another moment in the spotlight here.
Ball, first down, going this way.
So the Dogs will head left to right. Jake Fromm and their offense up first.
And again, their offense had a very good first half. See the overtime records. Offense not quite in sync the last 3 possessions, and they've had the ball.
Georgia in that win on the Rose Bowl got that field goal. Baker Mayfield and Oklahoma had a chance to win it in the bottom of the first, but the Dogs defense rose up, forced a field goal attempt. Then the Michelle touchdown won it at the bottom of the second.
And just for you at home, this stadium's about 60-40 in favoring of Georgia. They are at the Georgia end of the stadium. There are a lot of Georgia fans down here.
And the eerie quiet, the kind of weird tension that accompanies an overtime in a big college game.
Remember, on the perimeter and throwing the ball, getting it outside was where Fromm and Georgia's had their most success. He's making a check. Jeremy Pruitt yelling out to that Bama defense. They're also making checks.
Chubb met. Battles for just a few yards. You got to believe in your offensive line to test the front of the Tide on that play.
Absolutely. It's almost like Jeremy Pruitt and the Tide defense baiting the young freshman, giving him a certain look, knowing that he's willing to make checks at the line of scrimmage. And as soon as he started to come up to the line and make a check, instantly Jeremy Pruitt making the call out to Rashaan Evans and Mack Wilson to make the check with him.
Chubb behind the fullback Payne. He's got it. Cannot get the corner. Levi Wallace stopped him. It's going to be 3rd down.
Boy, Minka Fitzpatrick anticipating, again, that pin and pull scheme where the outside receiver and the tight end try to come down and crack block, and then they pull that right tackle outside. By anticipating that, he was able to get upfield and force Chubb back underneath and inside where the rest of that Bama defense was. Remember, Wims is not in the lineup. His favorite target. He's been going more to Riley Ridley, number 8.
Now it's Michelle in the game, 3rd and 6. Pressured, flushed, sacked, way back at the 35-yard line. It will be a very long field goal attempt coming up.
A great move here by Lewis, moving around. Payne goes here, and he comes free. You can see that the center, Gilliard, 53, just not agile enough to move with Lewis, and he comes in clean and comes up with a big sack.
Papanastos from 51 kicked a 55-yarder in the Rose Bowl. And there's Blankenship trying to give Georgia the lead. Hot Rod just slides it through. I'd say he's earned that scholarship.
This guy, we talk about Jake Fromm having guts. Great snap, great hold. Comes up with a big kick at the end of the first half in the Rose Bowl against Oklahoma. Goes out here in the first overtime after that sack and delivers for Georgia.
Then he felt that was a huge field goal at the end of the half to steal 3 points. Not nearly as monstrous as that one.
And now let's keep in mind, not only Bama scores a touchdown, they win the game. If they don't, they've got to try to kick a field goal. There it is, Papanastos. How much is he thinking about what happened on that last field goal attempt at the end of regulation?
Saban jumping around way out on the field, gesturing to his offense. Tagovailoa dancing around, circling back, dropped! A disastrous first down play. Davin Bellamy got it back at the 42.
Chris, that's a combination of great coverage downfield by Georgia and just being a young quarterback not put in this situation. Bellamy almost gets him there. See, that's where you'd like to see him throw it away. Nobody's open. You got to give up on the play, throw it away, get outside of the pocket and play on 2nd and 10. That's his youth right there.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins! The Crimson Tide will not be denied. True freshman to true freshman. Tagovailoa to Devontae Smith. Alabama breaks Georgia hearts. Nick Saban back on the summit where he has caught the bear with his 6th national championship. Bama has won 5 in 9 years.
And how fitting, Chris. And a night when we've talked so much about freshmen, it's true freshman to true freshman to win the game for Alabama.
A 41-yarder after the sack, delivering the victory in overtime to Alabama. To Tom Rinaldi.
Chris, Nick, you just said, is that answering questions? Was that a good game or what?
How do you describe what you just coached through?
Well, I'll tell you what, the resiliency of our team to come back in the second half. Tua did a great job, gave us a little spark. Defense picked it up to overcome the adversity of missing the field goal in regular and then go and win the game in overtime. It's a great football game. You got to give Georgia a lot of credit. They really played well in the game. And I'm so proud of our players for the way they come back in the game after the first half we played was not very good.
What led to the decision, and what did you tell Tua?
Well, I just thought we had to throw the ball in the game, and I thought he could do it better. And he did. He did a good job. We made some plays in the passing game. So, hey, it's just a great win, man. I'm so happy for Alabama fans. Great for our players. Unbelievable.
After what happened last year, losing with 1 second to go, the mantra all season was finish. How did you coach your team to do that tonight? What spirit did they show you, Nick?
Well, I told them in the beginning, I said, look, all we got to do is execute. We make so many mistakes in the first half. I mean, we were shooting ourselves in the foot left and right. So I said, if we just go have poise and focus to execute like we do all the time, that's who we are, we'll have a chance to get back in this game. And the players believed it and came back and did a great job.
Your 6th national championship. You tie Bear Bryant for most in the poll era. Take a second and hear that. What does that mean to you?
Right now, I'm just happy for all these folks here. I'm happy for all these folks. I'm happy for our players. I don't care anything about that, to be honest with you. This was a great win for our players, and I've never been happier in my life.
Never.
Never.
Congratulations, Nick. Maria.
Thanks, Tom. Tua, you have never started a game on the college level, and yet you get to start in the biggest game of your life. When did you find out that you were going in?
I mean, I found out when we were in the locker room. Coach brought the quarterbacks together, and he made the statement that, Tua, you're going to start out the second half, and we're going to rotate the quarterbacks. See how things go. So we went from there.
What went through your mind when Coach let you know you were about to play in a national championship game?
My parents would be mad, but excuse me. First and foremost, I just like to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. With Him, all things are possible, and that's what happened tonight. But I mean, it was a team effort tonight. I mean, couldn't have been done without the defense getting us the ball back. Our O-line blocking, working their butts off, as well as our receivers. It was just a great team effort. And they were the guys that made me look good tonight. So.
When you saw that field goal was hooked left, you knew you would have to take the field one more time and try to win this game. I mean, what were you saying before you took the field again?
I mean, I didn't say anything. We're just going back in, just take it a play at a time, and that's what happened.
Now that you're a national champion, as a true freshman, I mean, describe what it means for you in this moment.
In this moment, I mean, it means the world. But at the same time, I mean, all glory goes to God. I can't describe what He's done for me and my family. Who would have ever thought I would have been here, right now, in this moment. So, I thank God for that, and I just like to thank my teammates and Coach Saban for giving me the opportunity.
And describe what you saw on that final game-winning play.
They had split safety. The safety on Devontae's side, on the single receiver side, he tried to disguise his coverage. I tried to look him off. He stayed in the middle, and then I went back outside. It was cover 2 on their side, but he stayed inside. So, I mean, I took a shot downfield, and he caught it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tom?
All right, let's go.
Here with Jalen Hurts. Jalen, you've just been shaking your head. You've had that smile on your face. Your reaction when you found out Tua was going to start the second half, honestly.
He was going to step in and do his thing. We have a lot of guys in the QB room that play really well, and he stepped in and did his thing. Did his thing for the team.
In every offensive huddle, you were right there next to him throughout the second half and overtime. What was your message to him?
Ball. Play your game. Ball. He's destined for stuff like this. He's built for stuff like this. He has that it factor, and I'm so happy for him, happy for this team.
What does it mean to you to be a national champion?
It's unbelievable. I dreamed about this.
Congratulations, Jalen.
Thank you.
Chris?
Shows a lot of class because as a competitor, got to be bittersweet feelings. Meanwhile, Tagovailoa, Kirk, had to shake off a 16-yard loss in the previous play, and that's like they're back to the 41-yard line. not in field goal range.
Right. It was how about them coming right back to this call? And you know, he mentioned how he moved the safety. This is a safety right here. Dominic Sanders moves him to the middle of the field, gives him just enough. What you don't see is his head moves complete. Watch his eyes right here. His head is looking this way. He's trying to move the safety as much as he can, because if he does, he knows that he has Smith streaking down the sidelines. The eyes move the safety just enough for him to go back to Smith and make the throw of the year.
And the first catch of the night for Smith, one of those true freshmen that played such a prominent role. Really an incredible storyline. We'll talk about this one for as long as college football was played, not just because of Saban's historic achievement that, of course, he downplayed, but because of Tagovailoa from Hawaii to Tuscaloosa and coming off the bench and making that play after Alabama had a chance to win it in regulation. Papanastos hooking it. And I'll tell you what, after that sack, it didn't look real good for that offense.
You see Parrish, the corner, throw his arms up in the air. What that tells me is he was anticipating Sanders being over, helping him out. So miscommunication at the most important play, especially after the sack, and Kirby Smart's team comes up just a little bit short.
And still, the fact holds true. Saban has not lost to one of his former assistants. It's a painful part of losing at the biggest stage. The opponent's confetti is fluttering down on top of your helmet as you walk off the field, and the Dogs will have a hard time shaking this one off after a Cinderella season, having the lead in their own backyard.
That was a great championship. Both teams, you know, did everything that they needed to do to try to win the game. Got to be so happy for Nick Saban and Alabama. All the championships, the consistency, the dynasty continues for Alabama.
Another pillar in this golden decade, this dynasty that most thought we'd never see. Saban inherited a program that was sort of a laughing stock. Our final score, Alabama 26, Georgia 23 in overtime. Back after these messages with the Ford Escape postgame.
The 2018 Ford Escape postgame is brought to you by Ford, going further so you can.
And welcome back to the Ford Escape postgame show. A championship game classic as the Tide come off the mat and win it in overtime. Coming up next, it's Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt. A full breakdown of the championship game, lots of opinions and analysis. That's next on ESPN and on the ESPN app. What an interesting season for Alabama. They were denied a chance to come to Atlanta and play for an SEC championship. Their arch rivals, Auburn, took care of that, and that put them in some limbo. Remember that coming down the stretch, Bama didn't really even have control of their destiny, Kirk. If Wisconsin beats Ohio State, they're the undefeated Big Ten champions. We'll never know, but perhaps Bama excluded from the bracket. There were skeptics and doubters. I think that really fueled them in the Sugar Bowl against Clemson. What fueled them in this comeback was remembering, and they've talked to us about it time and again, the pain of losing last year's final.
The pain of losing, but Tagovailoa sparked them. I mean, we could talk about this motivated him, this motivated him. 13 being inserted into that lineup was the difference in the game, point blank. It changed the energy. He led them. There was a flow and a consistency to that offense. They were able to attack downfield. And he played with poise. And so, and I think the defense even fed off of what he sparked and what he provided. So it's fitting. Alabama was doubted. There were questions sitting there at 4, and they proved everybody wrong by winning it all.
It's not like Saban hadn't considered the move. He had, but he finally made the move tonight. Yeah. Therese Davis for the trophy presentation.
I would say that one was worth staying up late for, wouldn't you? What a fantastic finish to this college football playoff. Alabama winning it for the second time, doing it in overtime, and now to present the national championship trophy from the college football playoff, the CFP Executive Director, Bill Hancock.
Thank you, Reese. First of all, I want to congratulate both of these fine teams for a great effort tonight and all throughout the regular season. And now it's my honor to present the national championship trophy to Coach Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Nick, you've spoken often of the resilience of this team. How would you describe how they responded after not making the field goal at the end of regulation, then having the sack and still finding a way to make the play to win the game?
Well, I think the big thing that showed the resilience of the team is the way they responded at halftime after being behind 13-0, not playing very well in the first half. But I'm telling you, they just play the next play, man. Just keep playing the next play. Great competitors on this team, great mental toughness, and I'm really, really proud of this team for what they did tonight.
What were your emotions as you watched the ball fly through the air?
Couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
Did you know touchdown?
I know we were running Seattle, which was 4 streaks, and when I saw Smitty come open on the other side and Tua threw it, I said, this is it.
Do you remember having a win that was that meaningful and that exhilarating in terms of the way it happened?
I think so, but you know, there's lots of highs and lows. You know, last year we lost on the last play of the game, and this year we won on the last play of the game. So these kids really responded the right way. We said last year, don't waste a failing. They sure did the way they played tonight.
Nick, congratulations on the national championship, your 6th. Nick Saban winning for the 6th time. Now let's bring in the offensive player of the game, Tua Tagovailoa. Tua, you come in, second half, throw for 166 yards and 3 touchdowns. How would you describe your emotion when you found out we were going into the game?
You know, first and foremost, all glory belongs to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Without him, all things aren't possible. And, you know, another thing, I like to thank my teammates. You know, I like to thank the defense for giving us the ball back. I like to thank the O-line for, you know, just blocking, and it was just a team effort, you know, and without them, it couldn't have been done. So it wasn't me, you know, it was all of them. And, you know, I'm glad we got to do this.
After the sack in overtime, tell me what you saw when you threw the ball to Devontae Smith.
They tried to disguise their cover 2. And when I dropped back, I looked the middle safety down, the cover 2 safety inside on the 3rd receiver coming over. And I just went back outside, and Smitty was open. So I took the shot, and here we are now.
You got the championship. Tua, congratulations. A wonderful performance and a great comeback. Now let's meet the defensive player of the game, Deron Payne. Deron, you've had a tremendous playoff, both in the semifinal and tonight. What changed after the first half for you guys defensively?
I think we went in and just wanted to get mentally back right. And I think we came out the right way, and everybody came out and wanted to fight hard. And my team did a great job in competing.
After the end of regulation, you didn't win it there. What was it like on defense for the overtime period against Georgia?
We just knew that we were going to come and fight hard any way it went. If he made the kick, we still were going to win it. So it just didn't matter. We were just ready for the long run.
Deron, congratulations on the national championship. Deron Payne, Chris, the Alabama defense fought back, kept them in it, and then a spectacular finish to this college football season. Hi, Rashawn. How are you?
I feel amazing right now.
Well, Rashaan Evans is a guy that suffered a grisly injury on this field in the opening game against Florida State. I mean, you talk about muscle ripped from bone. He fought through all that, worked so hard to get back and be a leader on this defense. He deserves to celebrate.
Coach talked about the resiliency of his team when they were down at half, 13-0. But I'm going to remember this one for Nick Saban having the courage to make a move that's against the grain and put that man, Tua Tagovailoa, into this game and give him a chance to bring the Tide back to win that 5th championship.
His parents had relocated from the native Hawaii to Alabama to be close to their son. He's got a little brother who's a heck of a quarterback prospect just down the road from Tuscaloosa. Wow. The it factor. Jalen Hurts said it the perfect way. There's Devontae Smith, who made the touchdown catch, and the Bear rolling along there, 6 national championships. Nick would tell you he's not trying to catch him, he's just running his race, but very young-looking Nick Saban there is reached 6 national championships.
With quads like that, I don't know if the Bears going to be able to stay up.
66 years old. He told Tom Rinaldi he's never been this happy. Never. The Tide rally. Take it away from Georgia on the final play, 26-23. Back with more.
The 2018 Ford Escape postgame is brought to you by Ford. Going further so you can.
The Ford Escape post-game show. What a thriller. And it was all Georgia early. They kicked a couple of field goals, and then Mecole Hardman on the wild dog direct snap. It was 13-0. Bama's offense could not get going at all until Tagovailoa sparked him in the second half.
Yeah, it was an impressive performance there early by Georgia. It seemed to be in really control of the game. The story was all about Jake Fromm in that first half. And then Nick Saban makes the switch at halftime.
Yeah, he's known as a beautiful passer, but he's also a dual threat, a very competent runner. Look at all the time that he has. Finally escapes.
It's a big play on third down. It's kept a drive alive and eventually led them to their first touchdown. But that effort right there on third down, I think, really sparked him and allowed them to start cranking up the tempo. Got Georgia back on their heels for the first time, and he ends up finding Henry Ruggs for a touchdown. And Bama now all of a sudden starting to believe. But they came right back.
This is Georgia's only points after halftime. Hardman got free. It was an 80-yard play, just barely staying in bounds and scoring. But then Calvin Ridley, the senior, you'd watch all these freshmen make plays all night. It's about time that I get involved here. The Tide's best receiving weapon all season finds a way to work free.
Well, this is a great effort. He wanted to go to him early, just kept looking, and finally, because Ridley did not give up on the play, he was able to pull away from coverage. And just like that, Alabama's sitting pretty.
Andy Papanastos, after the Tide had marched it down methodically, a chance to settle it in regulation with a walk-off winner from 36, but kind of a nervy game. This one was hooked badly. That's what Saban was talking about. You got to come back from that. You think you've got it won, a reliable short-range kicker, but the Dogs still had life. But again, in the top of the first, just like in the Rose Bowl, they couldn't find the end zone. Blankenship.
In fact, they had the big sack, and all of a sudden he has to try in a 51-yarder. Steps up and delivers again.
And the game winner, after doing the one thing you don't want to do, he took a 16-yard loss, and you said he looked the safety off right there.
Moved the safety to the middle of the field with his eyes. A veteran, by the way, that made his 53 start, gets fooled by the true freshman. Look at his eyes right there. Looks right, comes back to his left, knowing that Smith was going to be able to get behind Parrish, which is exactly what he did.
A helpless feeling for a defensive back. Palms to the sky for Malcolm Parrish. He knew he had no help back there on Smith. Wow. Didn't unfold exactly how we thought. We thought the emphasis was going to be on the power running game, perhaps conservative offense. In the end, it was a couple of freshmen making spectacular plays, and the one we didn't expect to step forward. Tagovailoa off the bench. One of the great relief performances in the history of sports.
That's a great look from Nick Saban. And after everything that Alabama's been through this year with the injuries, I know he's won a lot of these championships. Because of the injuries and because of what they've lost the last couple years to graduation and guys leaving early for the NFL, I would argue that this is the best coaching job that Nick Saban's done since he's been in Tuscaloosa.
And as Tagovailoa celebrates, man, he was snapping in the ball. Bradley Bozeman, an even bigger moment, down on his knee to propose to his girlfriend right at the base of the podium. She's checking it out. Yes, the ring is real.
That's great.
Wow. So Bozeman wraps up his college career with an overtime championship game winner and then has this beautiful moment. Well, gear up, Alabama fans. You can celebrate the championship. Officially licensed national champions merchandise from the College Football Playoff Championship Store. Visit shop.collegefootballplayoff.com for all of your championship needs. Well, spare a thought for Georgia. That 37-year drought. The Dogs, who realized mid-season maybe we're good enough to give this a go. They took it to the Tide early. They'll look back at the mistakes they made and the opportunities they missed to put this one away. This one will sting for a long time.
It will, but it's Kirby Smart in his second year. He brought that blueprint over from from Tuscaloosa back to his alma mater. He's ahead of schedule. This is, I know it's depressing and it's sad for tonight, but it's part of the foundation of what he's building for the future. They'll learn from this. They'll be able to grow. He's not going anywhere. Georgia's not going to go anywhere with Kirby Smart in charge. They're going to continue to recruit well, and the young players will remember this night, very similar to the way Alabama used the loss to Clemson as motivation. So congratulations. I'd rather congratulate Georgia, as sad as this night is for them, on a great year, and eventually maybe that pain will subside and they'll be able to get back and excited about next year.
In time, the seniors will move on. It's a great senior class, but it's fair to say this might be one of Smart's least talented teams because of the way they're signing recruits. They got the top-rated recruiting class for the next year. They're already working on 2019 recruits. So we're going to see Bama and Georgia, I think, back on the big stage wrestling for trophies.
Yeah, absolutely. But, of course, tonight's about Alabama. Yep. Unbelievable. Nick Saban, Crimson Tide, congratulations. Another championship.
Dramatic fashion, back-to-back national championship games, won in the final play. A year ago, of course, Bama took the lead. Deshaun Watson marching down the field, winning it for Clemson with 1 second to go. Bama waiting a year to turn the tables and break Georgia's hearts. Micah Fitzpatrick, one of the warriors of this Alabama team, took a shot to the kidney last week. Didn't matter. Just kept going and played big again in this ultimate game. Alabama, another national championship. Crimson Tide back on top of the college football world in a game that we'll never forget here in Atlanta tonight.